Yeah. So, should we start or should we wait a few more minutes?
Well, I think you can start with your president's message.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we'll sort of officially start now, and whoever wants to jump in later, hopefully we'll get some more people and everything. So, welcome to Apple Cider's December meeting and everything. I see the snow has obliged by coming down and making tonight's meeting a Zoom meeting very good. That we're not meeting in person. So, yay for that. And hopefully you'll enjoy tonight's presentation by Steve. And also Bob is not here, Bob Hoey, but today is his 75th birthday. And he is out celebrating at the Turning Stone Casino, hoping to win big.
Where else?
That's right. That's what I said when he sent me a message. I said, hey, Bob, win big. You can share it with the group.
That's right.
Whatever. He usually does pretty good. So depends on how wild he wants to be about betting tonight. But he might feel inspired. Who knows? So, well, Steve, are you set up yet, or are you still got stuff you're doing? It looks like you're busy.
Yes.
I'll take this moment to remind all the board members. Next Wednesday is our board meeting, and we're going to be meeting in person at the Old Toad
It's
on
Tuesday.
Alexander Street.
Isn't it gonna be Tuesday?
Yes, next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Not next Wednesday. Good thing you said that, Carol, because I would have immediately jumped there. Yes, next Tuesday, because Wednesdays, they are now closed. So the only thing with Tuesday is at 8 o'clock they will be doing their trivia night. So I'm hoping that we can all try and get there close to 7 o'clock so that we can kind of get a start on it before they start, though the manager said most of it's in the bar area. So we're going to meet in a snug, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Shirley, can you please repeat this information toward the end of the meeting? Because I think there might be one or two board members who are not with us yet. I don't, no, I do see Doug. Doug,
yeah, Doug is there.
Doug has been growing a beard and I didn't even recognize him. All right. I don't know, well, I guess maybe we're all here. I'm not all here, but we may be all here.
Well, and of course, if there's anybody else who would like to join our board meeting, you know, you're certainly welcome to come. Again, it's at the Old Toad on Alexander Street, and they have hot mead and all sorts of neat things to drink and eat.
I'm going to interrupt again, Shirley, to say I have two comments about meeting there next week. One is that the first comment is that I think it's insane. And the second comment is that fortunately I am insane. But we probably, especially when you repeat it at the end, should repeat the Zoom aspect of it so that at least one way or the other we have a quorum.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes. Jump in and remind me when we get to the end there.
We're running over 600
Charlie,
pages a day in this town.
I know.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So Steve, just let us know when you're ready.
I think I've got everything. Is anyone else monitoring YouTube and Facebook?
I am starting to monitor YouTube. I'll leave Facebook to somebody else.
Looks like it's working in my monitor.
See if I can get my AirPods to connect to my iPad, which is what's doing the YouTube thing. And that way, just periodically during the meeting, I just check to make sure the sound's on.
All right, and everyone can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Let's make sure YouTube can hear me too. YouTube can hear me, yep. So I've got one headphone for YouTube and one headphone for Zoom. So, but there's a delay between them, so I can't have one of each. Alrighty, so let me bring up my Safari window. And we can talk about if we have any news. All right, there I am. Okay. So,
Steve, before you do that, you might want to talk me through this business with the AirPods on the iPad. They show when I pull down for the volume setting thing, it shows the AirPods. The volume is set fairly high, and I don't seem to be hearing anything yet on YouTube. So it may be my problem. It would not be surprising. Oh, maybe if I start the video, it'll work better.
that would work, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Too, you know? Okay. Thank you. Never mind.
All right. Never mind. All right. So, did anyone take advantage of any of Apple's holiday shopping bundles? The discounts weren't that big, and it was basically an Apple gift card, so it didn't have the big cash discount like they have in past years. It's pretty much dropping down to just Apple gift cards, and so they get to keep your money in any way they can. Let's see. Was there anything interesting in the Apple news? Yeah, after 15 years of selling Product Red devices, Apple has raised nearly $270 million for the cause. So that's pretty good. If you buy a Product Red Apple device, a portion of the proceeds go toward the Product Red Foundation for fighting AIDS, and it's pretty good. So $270 million is a lot, which is about $20 million a year. Not too bad. No, yeah, 15 years.
What are these red products you're talking about?
They are Apple products that are red. It's a specific shade of red, as for the Product Red charity organization, and it will have this red in parentheses logo on them, and that will tell you that that will tell you that those products are used to donate money to the Product Red AIDS Foundation.
It used to be a big deal back in the day when they used to make a big deal about it, but you don't really hear too much about.
Yeah, they don't play it up. It was some interesting back and forth between Steve Jobs, who was a very private person, didn't publicize any of his charitable giving, and Tim Cook, who pretty much wants the company to be known as a philanthropic company. That's the word I wanted. And I think he even started a matching donation for Apple employees to help donate to different charities. And Bono is from U2, is one of the big the founders of Product Red, and so there's lots of different devices and industries. So it's not just Apple products. There's a lot of different products. Let's see how red works. Somewhere they had a list of the companies.
Steve, we are not seeing your screen. Do you want to share it with us?
I thought you were, because I can see it in the OBS screen.
We see you. Oh, yeah.
I see it on.
Only you.
I see
We're
it.
just using Zoom.
I see it on YouTube and I see it on Facebook. That's odd.
What about Zoom?
Zoom? I'm not using Zoom. I'm using Safari. Let me go back to Zoom. All right. Yeah. Okay. I see what I did. So I have to share the screen to Zoom separately than sharing it to YouTube and Facebook.
There we go.
Okay, now that messes up my OBS feed. Alright, I gotta fix that. Let's see. Alright, let's just leave Safari open for the streaming. Alright, let me go back to the news page. So, Apple specifically has red versions of most of their products. I got Shirley a product red phone for Valentine's Day one year, so it matched both ways.
Yep. Yep.
And so if a company uses this red in parentheses logo, that is the Product Red Foundation, where part of the proceeds go to the AIDS Foundation, Product Red, for helping people, primarily in Africa, but also in other countries as well, because the AIDS epidemic in Africa is especially hard. On Amazon, even has a bunch of different products for Product Red. So 15 years they've been doing that, and that's pretty good. There was also a really interesting thing. Apple has sued the NSO group. NSO is a Israeli company that claims to be able to break into any iPhone and get to the data. They sell their software is called Pegasus, and it's one of the worst spyware programs ever found. And they are selling it to violent regimes, and it's been responsible for multiple murders. You may remember the journalist Khashoggi that was murdered. They found it on his phone and his girlfriend's phone, and the industry security researchers are convinced that that's how they were able to track down these people to kill them, and so the company says, well, we only sell it to governments. And, well, yeah, but there's a lot of really bad governments in the world. And so Apple has sued them, trying to get, calling it state-sponsored spyware and surveillance technology that allows it to target its victims. And many times those targets are, gun sites. And so a lot of people have found this and have been severely, re-educated is one of the other words that they have used a lot. And part of what happens is when a company finds an exploit in a in software, most of the time they will tell the publisher of that software, here's the bug, and collect a bounty on finding the bug, and then the company fixes the bug. But there are bad guys that will pay millions of dollars for bugs and not tell the companies so they can be fixed. They'll keep those bugs so they can sell them to bad guys, and then so the bad guys can use that as an exploit to break into somebody's phone and steal their money, steal their identity, do all sorts of awful things. And so we're wondering what's going to happen. Does it say? Let me see if it says where they sued. Because this is an Israeli company. Did they sue in Israel or did they sue in America? And what's that going to do? What jurisdiction are they going to have the trial in? When University of Toronto and Citizen Lab discovered this Pegasus spyware a few years ago, the not meaning of Pegasus, origin of Pegasus spyware. I got to add that. When they found this, it was sort of such a drastic realization about, oh my God, this is worse than we could ever thought, on how it can sneak into phones through a text message that you don't even have to read, because when you get a text message, a preview pops up on your screen. When you get an email, oftentimes a preview pops up on screen. So even without reading those messages, they are technically being read by the computer, and the bad software is executed. This was originally, it goes back to 2016 when it was originally found, and the back trace of it to get to the NSO group, which is an Israeli cyber company, was kind of interesting on how they found that. But it's just been responsible for so many horrible things. For the general public, Pegasus is not something you generally need to worry about. But if you are a dissident or a journalist that covers dissidents, or you're traveling to a repressive country, don't take your own devices with you. Get a burner phone or even a burner like Chromebook. Don't let anything from that company back into your network, because you never know what that country has done to your devices when you join networks. So it becomes very very tricky. And so Apple is suing them to try to get them to stop under human rights laws. It doesn't say what court they sued them in. Maybe we'll see more things like the Nuremberg trials, because there are a lot of companies that claim this is basically a weapon, a government-sponsored and sanctioned surveillance weapon.
Steve, an interesting thing about the NSO group is they speak with a forked tongue, because on the one hand, they tell people that they sell their stuff to supposedly legitimate organization, and they have no idea, they have no access to what that organization is doing with it. And on the other hand, they turn around and assure people that nobody they've sold it to is doing anything bad with it.
Yeah, and anyone who is doing anything bad with it was stolen. We didn't sell it to them.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. That was probably a lot of the Apple TV new seasons are starting. Let's see. This was a big one.
If any antivirus or malware would get it off your device.
It's on your phone, and there aren't any anti-malware programs for the phone, because programs are not allowed to access other programs. And so Pegasus is using an unknown break in the operating system to do this. So there's no way to look for it without knowing what that break is. And so Apple keeps fixing the holes, and the bad guys keep opening the holes again. Let me see. If someone has a way to see about Pegasus. Well, let's see what Forbes is often pretty alarmist. There's a program on GitHub you can install that will look for it, but you kind of have to trust this program on GitHub. But it's from Amnesty International, so it's probably okay. The trick is, how do you get... So you must have to connect your phone to your computer and run it on your computer, because there isn't a way to do it on the phone itself. No, I don't want ads. Yeah, so you back up your phone to your computer, and then it scans through your backup. And it looks like this is a Python program that you have to compile yourself. So it's not something the average person is going to be able to do. Let's see what this The Verge said. Yeah, Amnesty International. They've released a tool. Yeah, but it's just the source code. Yeah, so there are instructions on how to compile and install brew and all the terminal stuff you need to do to access the tool, but it's not something the average person is going to know how to do. If you were a potential target of Pegasus, you probably have a security division in your company that can check it. All right, so that's product red. That was Pegasus. Apple opened up or expanded their independent repair centers. So a few months ago, Apple started allowing independent repair centers to buy genuine Apple parts in order to do repairs outside of the official Apple service provider. So they, in essence, they are becoming the Apple service providers. Well, Apple has announced that they're expanding that service to individuals. Will be able to start doing their own repairs on iPhone 12 and 13. They'll be able to buy Apple parts and tools and manuals. And on the face of it, that sounds like a pretty good idea, but the average person is not going to know how to get inside their phone, and even trying to follow someone else's instructions. It's really tricky to cut open the phone because of the basically a rubber gasket sealing the phone for water resistance. And then how bad are they going to break it when they do something wrong? And are they going to be able to put the sealant back on properly to keep the phone water resistant later on? About 10 years ago, Apple did end user in-home repairs by shipping parts to the end user. The old iMac G5 computers were the biggest ones because the back came right off and you could see all the guts of the computer to replace the components. We got so many broken computers into our shop that people got into, didn't know how to do properly, would pull cables loose, and ended up, instead of disconnecting the cable, they would rip the socket off the motherboard. And so it caused a whole lot of problems, and Apple stopped doing it. So now we're wondering what the fine print is going to be. They haven't said much of anything. It's going to be, I think they said next year they're going to release more details, and you'll be able to buy the parts. The bigger thing is the tools. We had to buy like $1,000 worth of tools in order to take apart an iPhone and put it back together again, and the average person isn't going to want to do that. And so, is Apple going to make? If we're all for Apple making it easier to get in and out of the phone, because that would help us too. But it's going to be interesting to see how this happens. They already have 2,800 independent repair providers. I think that there was an article or a number up here too. 5,000 service providers like we are at Mac Ave, and then 2,800 independent providers. Also, most of the Best Buys that sell Apple products also have an authorized service department. And so there's a lot of places to get repair. But some people like to tinker with their own phone themselves, their own stuff themselves. And if you like to do that, fine. But if you break it while you're tinkering, don't complain to Apple that you want a free phone because you broke yours trying to get it apart. We have seen a lot of devices where people just, you pull harder instead of unlocking the connector. So we'll have to see what happens when this program actually gets released and people start working on it. How many how many people in the chat tonight would want to repair their own phone?
That's what you're for, Steve.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's a lot like repairing your own car. There's a lot of people that love tinkering on cars and buying parts, but a lot of people just want the car to work, and you go to someone else to fix it.
I
I'd like to spend $1,000 to buy a kit to fix my $100 phone.
Yeah.
Why not?
We have had people that their phone is under warranty, and they still go to the kiosk in the mall and get a non-Apple screen replacement, and then the phone doesn't work right, and they come into us, and it costs twice as much to repair it because they don't have the original Apple screen anymore. And you're under warranty, and it would have been free anyway. And even at the mall, they went to a kiosk in the mall instead of going to the Apple store in the mall. That really annoys me.
I would think.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're saving $1.
Yeah. Without knowing that free is best. It's a free under warranty. That's one of the nice things about the AppleCare Plus is for a phone it's a $29 incident, and for iPads it's a $49 incident. So if you break the glass, ordinarily iPhone display replacement's like $200 or more, but with the AppleCare Plus it's $29. So we strongly recommend people buy AppleCare Plus. You get 60 days after you purchase your product to attach it. And they've also changed, let me see if they have the terms here. They've changed it a little bit that you used to pay up front for the entire AppleCare cost. So AppleCare for a laptop is, what is it? It's $269 for the smaller ones, and then $350 for the bigger ones. And even a spill, you spill something into your laptop, $299 to fix everything. So you get really good coverage on it. And they have added a option to do monthly payments rather than an upfront. So you can pay like $8 a month to get your AppleCare. And AppleCare used to only run for 2 years on mobile devices and 3 years on computers. But if you have the monthly payments, it runs until you stop paying. So it's a good way to keep your warranty running on the devices after that original warranty period ends. Yeah. So you might be able to purchase the month-to-month payments. Alrighty. Anybody else have anything newsy they want to talk about?
I was sad to learn that the HomePod got discontinued, and they're only making the Mini.
Yep. So they
I like my HomePod.
They closed out at a pretty good discount.
They were expensive. I think that's
yeah.
why people didn't like them.
The main problem is that they were too expensive at $350. They were selling it as a speaker, and as a speaker, $350 isn't bad, but it also had some Siri control. But it was competing against the Amazon Echo for $99 and the Google Home for $99, and it just couldn't compete with people who wanted a smart speaker first and a speaker second. And so that is why they discontinued the big one in favor of the HomePod itself. The HomePod
It wasn't
Mini.
even stereo, was it, Steve?
If you put two together, you could make a stereo. Yeah.
Yeah, so then you've got to pay $700, right, to get the two.
Well, a single one could simulate stereo. It had 7 speakers in the box, and it would simulate stereo by bouncing off the wall and around, so it sounded like it was stereo. But now the HomePod Mini for $99, it's a pretty decent speaker for $99. And available in a bunch of different colors.
Product red.
Yeah, blue and red and no red. I don't see.
No.
Did they have a red one?
There it is.
Oops. Yeah, gray, blue, yellow, orange, and white.
So $200 for a pair.
Yeah, but it's not really designed to be a stereo pair. It can be. It's more to put music in every room in your house, so you get a bunch of them and scatter them around your house. If you're putting together a home theater system, there are better ways to do it.
Does that connect by Bluetooth or something else?
Yes, Bluetooth.
So isn't there a range limit on the distance you can put them?
Yeah, about 30 feet.
Small house.
Well, you're in the living room and it plays your music on that one, and you walk into the kitchen and it switches to the one in the kitchen, and then you walk into the other one and it switches to the one in there. So you put one in each room so it can play music in all of your rooms.
And it switches because it knows you're there?
Yeah.
Because you talk to it?
The Bluetooth signal. It sees the proximity as the by the signal strength.
It knows where you physically are?
Where your phone is.
Ah.
So if you carry your phone into another room, it will switch to that one.
So the phone is the intermediary.
Well, the phone is where the music is coming from.
Well, the other thing you could do is just plug in your headphones in your phone and, just walk around the house.
Then you got headphones dangling.
Well, you get the Bluetooth ones.
Yeah. The HomePod is also a Siri device, so you can ask Siri to do things. Which, if you got your phone for the music, you probably have your phone for Siri too. So it's kind of a weird way to have a smart speaker.
I use mine to listen to radio stations.
Yep.
And you can search for a radio station anywhere. I haven't tried Tokyo yet, but San Francisco and Seattle, New York City, and good old XXI.
There are several third-party services that it works with over the internet. So that makes me think it also connects to the internet. Let me check.
Oh yeah, you can just say, "Hey Siri, what's the temperature in Bangladesh?"
So it does connect through the internet too.
Do you have to have a phone? Is it going through the phone, or can you just use the speaker?
It has to be set up with a phone, an iPhone.
Like initially or always?
When you set it up, it has to be an iPhone. And then it will play Apple Music, it will play iTunes Music, it will do some third-party services, such as TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Audacity podcasts. Let's see.
Any limitation on the iPhone?
Probably. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, so it does do Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi to your network, and it will also Bluetooth to your device. You need an iPhone SE or later. And there is likely an OS requirement or later. Nope, so whatever OS is running on those original devices. So it goes back to the first generation iPhone SE, which was... Actually, I think the iPhone 6S is older than that. Yeah. So it does go back quite a way.
What's the judgment on that, comparing a mini pod with, say, a Sonos one?
The Sonos would give you probably better audio because it's physically bigger. But it's also $200. And there are a lot of let's see, footnote 3. There are a lot of third-party services that Sonos works with as well. There we go, footnote 3. Oh, you may need a subscription. So I wonder if there is a list of HomePod Mini.
And for your information, I don't subscribe to Apple Music either, and I get all these stations, radio stations.
Probably through TuneIn or iHeartRadio.
Yeah, and that Odyssey that you mentioned, that's the renamed radio.com stations, and they're all over the country.
Well, it's interesting because Audacity is the editing software I use to edit audio.
Odyssey. They changed the word. It's not. It's just Odyssey. It's not.
It was?
It's not audacious.
Oh, you're right.
Audacious.
Odyssey, yeah.
Audacity is one, and Odyssey is the radio station.
Yeah.
Okay, then that makes sense.
Let's see if there is a list of what services it supports. So here's one as of May. Where is, okay. So that's, I hate these clickbait articles. Yeah, here's all the music, all the services that work with the HomePod, and it doesn't say what they are anywhere. Well, it supports the three biggest ones, and Apple Music, so that's probably oh, we're jumping ahead. That's probably enough for most people. And then whatever music you have on your phone, you can send to it also, or computer.
I use her for kitchen timer too.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody, was it Google or Amazon, put out a statistic that the most requested service from the Smart Assistant is to set a timer.
Can you disable the Siri on it?
I don't know. You probably, yep, you can turn off the Hey Siri feature.
Okay.
In your HomePod settings.
Yeah, my wife was saying, I don't want something listening to me all the time. Okay.
Well, it listens for the keyword. But yeah, that can be a big thing. Yeah, so you can disable all of that. There's an interesting phenomena that happens partially because devices are listening to you, but mostly because of social connections that have been made. That you're with a group of people and somebody mentions they're looking at getting a new Jeep, and suddenly you start seeing Jeep ads in your advertising list. So you think your phone was listening all the time and heard them say Jeep. What really happened is Facebook knows you're in the same room with the other person, and the other person searched for a Jeep. So Facebook thinks, well, you might like Jeeps too, and so it gives you ads for Jeeps. So it's not the phone itself, it's Facebook and other social media platforms that you're almost always logged into. Hardly anyone ever logs out of their accounts when they stop reading Facebook. You just close the window. You don't sign out. And pretty much every website you go to has a Facebook icon on it, or Twitter, or Reddit, or one of the other social media sites. And that's how the social media companies track you. And they know who you're near because they have the same icons on the websites they're looking at on their device. And so they know the IP addresses they're coming from, and can link you together in what's being called the social graph. What Apple has added a new feature in Monterey that will hide your IP address in Safari and in Mail. So one of the ways advertisers target you is by your IP address, and that's your internet address you have when you get to the internet. It's like your house's postal address. So They can see where you're coming from because you have an address. And so they can track what websites you've gone to by the IP address they've sent the information to. So you go to one website and search for something, and you have an address. You go to another website and search for something. Your search queries are coming from the same address. And so those two advertisers combine that knowledge by knowing your IP address, and then can send you more advertising because they know your IP address. And so what Safari is starting to do now is it will hide your IP address. Basically, it turns on what's called a proxy. So all of your traffic goes to a proxy server run by Apple, and then from Apple it goes to your destination that you want it to. So you type Amazon.com instead of your computer asking your ISP to go to the Amazon website. Your computer asks your internet provider, who then goes to Apple, and Apple goes to Amazon. So Amazon's IP lookup goes back to Apple. It never gets back to you. And so hopefully that is going to help stop a lot of the tracking that is happening on the internet. And the other thing they're doing is adding the tracker blocking. I don't know. Can you see that in my toolbar? I don't know. Can you see my toolbar?
Yes.
Yeah. And so this page that I'm on, iGeeks blog, Apple has stopped 40 trackers from tracking me on this website. We always thought that was a lot until we go to like Democrat and Chronicle, and it will probably be in the hundreds of trackers. One of the things people forget is that newspapers are designed to sell ads. The stories are just there to get you to see the ad. Yeah, 55 trackers on DNC.
Yeah, that thing you talked about where Apple hides your IP address sounds to me like a poor man's VPN, doesn't it?
Kind of. So a VPN, or virtual private network, you tell your computer to log into this VPN server, and then all of your internet traffic looks like it comes from that VPN server, which is great if you trust that VPN server. There are a lot of shady VPN services, especially the ones that are free, that the reason they're free is they're collecting advertising information about you, so they can sell advertising information. There are several VPN services that get very high marks. ExpressVPN is one of them that advertises a lot on the podcast I listen to, and they're like $8 a month, which sounds expensive, but you know, if you want that security, when you open a VPN, the company starts up a new VPN server specifically for you and only you, and it only exists in the server's memory. It's never written to disk. There's nothing logged, and then when you shut off the VPN, it's deleted from memory. And so there have been cases where law enforcement has raided an ExpressVPN office and physically taken the servers away, and there's no data on it because the data is only in RAM, and as soon as you unplug it, it's gone. And as soon as you disconnect from the VPN, it's gone. So by being able to have that hide service now built into Safari, it's going through Apple, and we're pretty sure that we can trust Apple. Let me see how to get to it. Safari preferences, privacy. So I need to change my screen share. One of the things that is a little confusing to people is a VPN isn't really a privacy thing. It hides your destination IP from the other end. the people that really need to use a VPN are people who are working remotely. So when I'm at a job site, I have a VPN to get back into the office, so I can get to the databases at my office. The average person generally doesn't need a VPN, but what we're seeing is that the internet providers, Spectrum and Comcast, will sell your web traffic for advertising revenue. So a lot of people were running a VPN for that. But if you're using a free VPN, then say Spectrum isn't getting your web traffic, but the VPN company is, and they're selling your data. So with Safari now able to do that itself, to hide your IP address from trackers, then that's kind of a better way to go now, because we can pretty sure we can trust Apple.
What about Mac VPN?
I don't know them specifically. Let's look them up. If you really want to be safe, you'd host your own VPN service. But there's a lot of problems for that. Yeah, we're just getting too many. Let's see. So the Mac has a built-in VPN client. We were looking for a VPN server. Yeah, ExpressVPN is a big one. Let's see what TechRadar says. Mac VPN is such a generic term that it's hard to find the specific software. Do you know who makes it?
No,
So ExpressVPN, NordVPN. Nord also makes an antivirus product too. Surfshark, never heard of them.
Is DuckDuckGo a VPN?
No, that is a search engine that doesn't track your search results like Google does.
Is that based on what the hell is the Microsoft one? Bing?
Last I knew, they were using Google's backend, but weren't, because Google's got probably the best search tools, but because Google is also the biggest advertiser, we don't want us to be tracked while we're doing our searching. So DuckDuckGo will search without tracking you.
What's their business model? They don't charge for it.
Yeah, that's always the question, is how are they making their money? Sometimes they do have a pay version for companies, and so the private home users get it for free. Since 2008. Now they're hiring.
I really wish I had invested in stock in companies that made now hiring signs.
Yeah. Here we go. What's the revenue model for DuckDuckGo? So okay, so I should have thought of that. They generate search revenue from searching. So when you search for Jeeps, Jeep pays them a little money. But they don't say it was you doing the search. Just somebody did a search.
No.
So they probably don't get paid as much as Google, because Google can provide more information about you, and same thing with Facebook. Somebody did a what was it? How did they name it? somebody did a fake Facebook ad, but then it turned out it wasn't fake after all, where they could say with almost complete precision your age, your gender, your race, your income, where you lived, all based on what Facebook's profile for you are. Let's see. Yeah, I'm never gonna find it. After you find it the first time, if you don't bookmark it, you don't find it again.
Right.
But then you get so many bookmarks that you can't find it anyway there. It was a company bought
history.
Facebook ad. Targeting data. Let's see. It was recent. This is probably it. It was a research paper. So if you went to the ad, it would basically show you all of your demographic information because that's the ad they bought. Yeah, is this it? Facebook data validation tool? No, this is just the PDF about. So here's the research paper if you want to read it. So if you as a company want to buy Facebook ads, you can get extremely detailed on what kind of people you target with your ads. And the last presidential campaign showed that quite well on how you could game the system to your advantage. Yeah, I'm not going to find it again. Let's see. So Google has their Christmas lights up. It's December now, so it's okay to put your Christmas lights up. Alrighty, should move into some Q&A. Anyone have any burning questions?
Yeah, another question. And is it too soon to download Monterey?
It depends.
Any reported problems?
Not specifically, and they have had the first patch, so 12.01 is out. They have a list of all the new features on their website, so if these are features you may want, then it's probably not a bad idea. Let me get down to requirements. If it has been, if you have enough RAM and enough disk space, and we really recommend an SSD now and not a spinning disk because they're so much slower. All right, here's the specification list. So 8 gigs of RAM minimum, more is better. An SSD is better. You need like 40 gigs of disk space free in order to upgrade. The installer file is like 12 gigs by itself, and then and it needs about 20 gigs during the upgrade. So if you have a 128 gig drive on your computer, you may not be able to do it because there's not enough free space available. If you have an older computer and have been upgrading multiple along the ways, we often see that being a little more of a problem because of all the old cruft left over from previous systems and previous upgrades. One of the things we'll sometimes do is do a full backup and then erase, which you should do anyway, and then erase your drive, install a clean Monterey, and then you can install or restore from your backup, but don't restore the applications. Just restore your user data, and then reinstall the applications that you use. Most people don't use that many applications, and by doing a clean install like that, it can make the computer run better because you've gotten rid of all that extra cruft that has been accumulating in your computer for who knows how many years. Most of the problems we have read about are low disk space. So if you've got barely enough to install, then it's not enough. Let's see. It should say here how much. Disk space you need. Do you have to go into each? No, that's just how to identify your model. Maybe it's on. No, maybe it's on the features list. Learn how to upgrade. That's what I'm looking for. Make a backup. It needs space. But it doesn't tell you how much. The installer will warn you if there's not enough free space. But if you're marginal, then the install can fail because there's not enough free space to finish. And then you're really screwed. And oftentimes you end up needing to erase your drive and restoring from your backup anyway. I wonder if it says in the App Store. Yeah, the installer is 12 gigs, but it doesn't say how much free disk space you need. But I think it's like 40 gigs. Oops, we're jumping ahead there. Stop. I've got Monterey on the club's laptop. Haven't had any problems with it. I don't think I've upgraded my personal computer yet. I usually tend to stay 1 or 2 versions behind, just to let other people find the problems. Excuse me. Another question?
Steve, I have a couple of questions if nobody else is hot to go at the moment.
Sure.
One is about reader views. On my MacBook, Safari often offers a reader view.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Chrome browser on the MacBook, I have installed Mercury Reader, so I use that. And I generally don't try to block ads. Not that what I do has an effect on the universe at large, but you know, ads are why we get things for free. So if they don't get in my way,
yeah,
the closest I get to playing video games, I shoot the little X's up in the corner of the ads. But once in a while, like if I see an article on USA Today, they seem to go nuts on ads, so I'll hit the Mercury Reader, and it just pares it down to the basic text. Now,
yeah, and in Safari, there's a little icon in a website that offers a reader view that will then bring up the reader, which I don't know if you can see.
Yes, I'm seeing what you're doing.
Okay. And so it basically gives you just the text, pulls away all of the ads and everything else around it, and just the text. And you can set Safari to do always reader if you want, too.
So my question really has to do with the iPad. Because I have both Safari and Chrome on my iPad also. And I'm not finding... lately, I've had a couple cases where I've been reading an article and an ad will show up over covering the text of the article.
Yep.
And I can't move away from it to get rid of it. I'm getting a little bit of feedback here. Am I causing that?
I don't know.
Well, if it's not
Does
bothering
somebody
anybody, I can live with it.
somebody have their mic open?
Well, it could be me, because the feedback I'm hearing sounds like me. So maybe I'm the problem. But anyway, so my question is, and I tried Googling, is there like a reader view for Chrome on iPad? I'm not sure whether Safari on the iPad has a built-in reader view. What do you think about these things?
Yeah, Safari does have a built-in reader view.
On iPad.
On iPad and iPhone.
Okay.
Let me see if Chrome does. Oop. What? Did you come to say hi? I'll turn off my
Who's bugging me?
Yeah. Nope, he jumped down just as I turn off my background so he can say hi. All right, we'll go back to the school. Yeah, let's see. Chrome. People are asking how to use Chrome Reader. Yeah, it's in extensions. So you can turn the flag on to enable reader mode.
In an iPad?
Yeah, in Chrome. Let me post that
I
in
guess
the...
the answer is that they should be there, and it's worth my playing around a little till I find them and get them to work.
Yeah, and what I've always thought is don't feel too bad about blocking the ads because the ad already loaded. And then you hit reader view and it hides the ads while you're reading it, but the ad's already loaded behind it.
So they count that as an ad.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for that. Because before we get into your presentation on Find My, I confused the heck out of myself and maybe other people. I have a find question, but it's not Find My. If I'm on my MacBook in Chrome, which I often am, and I'm reading an article, I can use Command F to search for a name or whatever in the text. And I expect it also works in Safari. I don't do a lot of my reading on the MacBook in Safari. But my question is there a find function like that on the iPad?
It depends on the individual apps. If you have a keyboard, then Command F usually works. You can find an app itself by swiping down from the center of any home page, and it brings up a find function for you to search for an app on your device.
Okay. I'm interested in finding something in text in an article.
In what program are you using?
You mean which browser?
Yeah.
Well, we can start with Safari. I mean, like I say, I actually use Chrome a lot on the iPad, but
yeah, that's what I thought it was. So in the URL where you type the address you go to,
right.
When you're at an address, you go back to that URL and type your search query on that page, and it normally will show you. I'm trying to find. I don't have a picture of it. Let me see if I can find a picture. It normally, when you type in a URL, it searches for web pages, and you see a list of suggested web pages.
Right.
At the bottom of that list of web pages, it does a find on page. And if you do have a keyboard, then the Command F almost always works too. Yeah, all right, here's a picture. So we're on a website. Can I make this bigger? Open image in new tab. There we are. So we're on a website and typed something new in the address bar, and it's doing a Google search for what you typed, but then at the bottom of that list is on this page. And in this case, it found no matches for that typing on that page. But it will be below the Google search for what you typed into the address bar.
Okay, and since I don't use a separate keyboard with my iPad, will the iPad's own keyboard come up?
Yep, keyboard will pop up and let you type again.
Okay.
So just like you would go to a new website, it will search your current website as well.
Thank you very much.
And then where it says no matches, it will tell you, 27 matches. And you'll actually get a new little toolbar. Let's see if I can find that picture. That will show you, allow you to go to the next and previous hits in that search. Yeah, here it is. So after you found the first one, you get this new toolbar on top of the keyboard. And so in this case, it found 20 matches on the current website for the word Dropbox. And you're on number 2 of 20, and you have next and previous buttons to go to the next search or the previous search.
Very nice. And there probably is a comparable function in Chrome if I go looking for that too.
Yeah.
The same thing. Once you're in the article on the web page, then just go back up as if you're typing for another web page, but look on this page.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't find on this page. Looks like there might be a find on page. Probably, yeah, from the 3 dots. So hit your 3-dot menu, and there's a find in page that will go directly to the find on the page.
Now, are you in Chrome now?
This is for Chrome, yes.
Okay. But again, well, it says iPad OS. Good.
Yep.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. I never knew you could do that.
Yeah, you never know what other people may not have found before. There's a lot of power in that 3 little dots, or a gear icon, where there'll be additional things that you can do on whatever page you're on. Brings up an additional menu.
I have a humorous, a trivial item to mention on that. I have been trying to use an iPad on my exercise bike, and I watch like a half-hour comedy while I try to ride the darn bike for half an hour. But if they're American comedies, they're really only like about 22 and a half minutes. The British ones sometimes are a full half hour, but that limits your selection. But what I found out is that once I get something up on YouTube on the iPad, if it's one of these short American comedies, because whoever put it up has edited out all the ads and stuff. If I go to that setting and go to the playback speed, then I can watch the video like they are on drugs, but it takes the full half hour.
You can slow it down and you can speed it up. I often watch stuff at 1 1/4, sometimes 1 1/2. So when mute that. Now, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm playing a YouTube video. There's a little gear, and one of the options is playback speed. So I can play it slower than normal, or I can play it faster than normal. Usually, 1.25 or even 1.5 doesn't get too bad.
And which way you and I go on that is a dramatic demonstration of the difference between the two of us.
Yeah.
You can handle information input at high speed. I have to have it slowed down. But it also, with my old age and hearing, I don't have to backtrack and to figure out what they were saying as much if they said it nice and slow.
Yeah.
I sometimes wish I could do that with television programs where people are talking too fast.
A lot of times we'll turn on closed captioning for that, and then you can jump back and watch it again. Now, are you? Can you guys hear Adam when I unmute the video? I don't know if that's making it into Zoom or not.
No.
It's probably making it into YouTube and not Zoom. So I've got him on. I've got him on 1.5, and that's not too bad. There was an episode of Supergirl where she's at her desk in the newsroom, and she's watching a footage of something at like 2x or 5x, some ridiculous, because she's Supergirl. She can watch it super fast, and someone happens to catch her watching it so fast, and you go, "What? No, oh, I'm watching it at 1.5. It helps me get through the video faster, and you get used to it." Because she can't give away that she's Supergirl. Hey, YouTube has Apple Cider live stream now. Now we can get really meta by having YouTube inside YouTube inside YouTube. There we are. So then it's going to play another one inside another one inside another one. Somebody did the math once on mirror reflection. You know how if you have a mirror into a mirror,
how many times
it will reflect? Yeah. Let's see. Now this is just how reflective the mirror is. So there's the math. Math is fun. All right, any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
One of these dumb questions. So when I first got my iPhone 6s Plus, there were like 5 icons down on the bottom. Do you call it a dock on the phone also?
Yeah.
Okay. And then all of a sudden one day, like a couple of them disappeared, and I didn't take them away. And then all was left was the phone, message, and Safari. And then all of a sudden, the phone went away, and the message went away. Now all that's down there is Safari, and I didn't make them go away. Did it like go away with an update, or like why did they disappear?
You accidentally made them go away. You rearrange icons by tapping and holding and dragging. And at some point, when you were tapping the icon, you held it just a little too long and dragged it just a little bit, and it came off the dock. So you can get it back by going back to that icon. And they've actually made this harder to do in later OSs. So now when you tap and hold on an icon, a menu pops up to let you edit the home screen and to let you remove that app, because it used to be too easy to do, as you've discovered. So if you want to add it back, you would tap and hold on an icon you want to put back. They'll start wiggling like they used to after you do the edit home screen, which I think they added in OS 14, maybe 15. Then you can drag the icon back into the dock, and it will stay there after you hit the home button to finish editing. So what we sometimes see is people are, when you tap, especially, I don't know if you can see this on the, especially when you're tapping at the bottom, you sometimes lift your finger up a little bit. And so if you tap and hold just a little too long and then drag your finger up just a little bit, that's enough to remove it. So it's so tap and hold, and then hey, that's cool. The camera's not showing
It's invisible.
an invisible phone. Yeah. Well, it's this same picture to let you edit the home screen, and then all of the icons start wiggling so you can move them around. That's also how you move them from page to page to page.
Is there an easier way to organize apps on your phone than to just drag stuff around? That seems highly inefficient and frustrating for me.
You used to be able to use iTunes to edit your app pages, but they removed that feature a few versions ago. There is now a new feature. What do they call it? It's not Smart. It's oh shoot. Let me try Smart. No, Smart Stack. Is that it? Yeah, Smart Stack. So you can show me more pictures. Come on. So press, you can add a Smart Stack, and you can create more home pages with better organized apps. And there's a smart library. That's the other one I wanted. That has been added automatically. That if you go all the way past... No, that's not what I wanted. If you go all the way past the end of your apps, you get a smart library. No. What's the name of it? You get a. Let me turn off my background temporarily and see. Yeah. So if I go all the way over, you can edit whatever this thing is called to put your common things, so notes and calendar, the things you use the most. And if you go all the way the other way, it automatically groups your icons together based on what they are. App library, that's the name of it. The one I wish it would had, so it has a recently added, it has a social group, so it organizes them by the kind of thing they are. What I wish it would have is frequently used. And so those are the apps I frequently use. So there's suggested apps based on the time of day. So at noon, if you always open the Facebook app, then Facebook will be suggested. Apps you've recently added are there. And then there are utilities and photos, entertainment, social. But I really, really wish it had a frequently used, because I only use the same like 4 or 5 apps primarily, and every now and then I'll go to the other apps. But you can edit this app library on that app library screen, and that's a little bit easier to edit than dragging apps from page to page to page, because it organizes them itself automatically. And they've also added it to the iPad as well. And I need to charge my phone.
Okay, Steve, thanks. That's
Yep.
something new I didn't know before.
Yeah, when did they add this? OS 14 they added it. And I think on the iPad it was OS 15. Yep, iPad OS 15 added that same feature. One of the annoyances is that you have this huge screen on the iPad, and it still uses little tiny icons. So it could fit a lot more icons on the page if you wanted it to, but it doesn't. So that's one of the things you can do with the app library and the Smart Stack, is that you can make a big picture of... oops. There we go. You can have a photo show up, and it picks photos based on time of day or year. No, I can't stop that animation. So it will let you hide apps you don't use often. Let's see. Yeah, widgets. That's what they call that. So making one of these things as a widget. So you notice how this calendar event is 2 apps wide and 2 apps tall. And the weather widget is 4 apps wide and 2 apps tall. So apps can now create their own widgets that are larger than normal widgets. And they added that in OS 14 on the phone and 15 on the iPad.
Hey Steve, I got a quick question about our YouTube stream. I think I'm following it. Where is it supposed to show me how many people are watching right now?
You can't be in full screen. You have to be in a window mode.
I'm not in full screen, so I'm good there.
Um,
Oops, I just got rid of it. it's back, and it's showing me 37 subscribers.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing.
Live views. They took that away.
Okay, good enough. As
Really?
long as it's not just me. That's all right.
Does it
It'll
show
be
it?
in those statistics when we do that
Does
next
it
week.
show it on my? It shows it on my broadcasting stream, but it's not showing it on the actual web stream.
How many people does it show?
Currently has 5.
Oh, cool. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Alrighty. Any last questions before we move on?
It would be almost nice if somebody like YouTube or whatever, one of those things, had version numbers so that when they make improvements, they would do it in a batch way, and you had a choice about, okay, yeah, I'm ready to sit down for a couple of hours and see how your new stuff works.
Yeah.
But instead, it's just every time you go into it, it's like, where is it? How does it
Something's
work?
new. They moved it. They changed it.
Right.
And
Hey,
part of it is
8:30.
they roll out new features in a staggering release, so everyone doesn't get the new features at the same time. Otherwise, there'd be a billion people trying to load the new program. So they sort of roll it across time zones, typically.
I was just gonna
All
say
right.
it's 8:30. Do we want
Yep.
to take a break now?
Yeah, let's take a break. I need some more fluids, and we'll come back for Find My and streaming.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I go back to? Oh.
Let's see what happens here. Alrighty. Oh, I poured my drink, but I left it out there. Alrighty. Well, that doesn't bode right. All right, shall we continue? See how many people come back.
All right, I'm back.
I moved my icons down into the dock, but it'll only let me put 4 there.
Yeah, on the phone it's 4. On the iPad it can do more.
I swear when I got the phone there were 5 there, and then it went to 3, and then to 1. And I get what you're saying, because I do dumb things all the time accidentally. But I never use the icons. They just disappeared one day. Like 2 at a time. Unless I just picked up the phone without knowing it and touched it, that could be. But I swear it was 5 when I got the phone. Did it used to be 5?
I don't remember. I'm seeing a third-party application called 5-Icon Dock. That lets you make...
And how do I find the phone? There's no icon for the phone. I have to say, hey Siri, open phone when I want to open the phone.
It's in there somewhere. Swipe down from the center and search for phone. And it will show you if it's in a folder or not.
Okay, yeah, now I just brought up the phone. Okay, but how do I get the icon back?
In the search, type phone until it finds the phone app.
I did. So not, and hold it?
And then tap and hold and drag it to the dock.
No.
And it pushed something else out.
Yeah, probably. Because it is, you can only have 4 items in the dock.
It doesn't let me drag it from the search bar.
Do you already have 4 items in your dock?
Yeah.
Then you can't add a 5th. You have to remove one of them first.
Decision.
I think on the plus size phones you might be able to add more.
Is there a setting for it?
You can put a folder in the dock, and that folder can have more than one icon in it.
What? No, if you're running, you move the phone.
It is possible that an iOS update would have added new apps, and that could have pushed something out of the dock, a non-Apple app. Alrighty, so let's get back to it. Can you see my system preferences screen?
Yes.
I think I had them both. So Zoom is letting me share 2 screens, but I can't see them shared.
Continue with Touch ID.
Yeah, so I gotta hide Safari, and oh no. So for YouTube, I need to make that window smaller so it fits in the screen. There we are. All right, so Find My is a handy feature that will allow you to find a misplaced item, assuming you turn it on first. So usually you want to turn it on ahead of time. So turn it on always, so it's always ready for you to lose your item. On a computer, you use the Apple ID system preference. And on a phone, you go into Settings, and then from there, Apple ID. And one of those features, you may have to scroll down through, is called Find My. Find My Mac, Find My iPhone. It used to be called Find My iPhone for all devices, so it was weird to have Find My iPhone on your Mac. So now Apple has, we always called it Find My Device, and Apple has now shortened it to just Find My, and then you fill in whatever device you're on. So you want to make sure that's turned on, and that will be assigned to your Apple ID. Now, in my case, on the computer here, location services is turned off. So that means my computer doesn't know where it is, so it can't be found. So if you see that option, you need to turn your location services on. And so I can go to Details and open Security and Privacy. And so Enable Location is turned off. So I need to hit my padlock so I can authenticate with your password. Now we can turn on location services. This is kind of left over from our upgrade. We'll turn off the old weather, turn on the new weather. So this will show you the apps that have asked for your location. So Maps needs it, Safari probably needs it, Calendar, Weather needs location. So you can see if there's things in there asking for your location service, or your location that don't need to be there, and then uncheck them. Or you can make sure that the ones that do need it are checked on. So Find My is checked on. So now when I go back to Apple ID, Find My is now available. So then, when you go to other device, well, actually, let's start here. In the Apple ID section of either your phone or pad or computer, it will show you a list of all the devices that are currently signed in to your Apple ID. And you can click on one of those devices, and it will tell you what that device is. What we often see people do is they will sign into the Apple ID on their computer, and then a few years later they sell the computer, but they're still signed into their Apple ID, so it still shows on their list. And so actually that has happened to me right here. My old iPad Pro and my new iPad, well, newer iPad Pro. So this is the one I have now, 10.5. This is the one I don't have anymore. So I will remove that from my account. So I erased it, but I forgot to remove it from my account. So now I need my password, and I am going to not do that so it doesn't type my password into the stream. I did that once and had to change several passwords. All right, so now we're going to close System Preferences and we'll open Safari again. So then you go to iCloud.com/find on any computer. It doesn't have to be yours. You can be at a friend's house. iCloud.com/find. And you will have to log into your Apple ID. And so I am going to do that with my fingerprint, which then doesn't show the Apple ID. And then what this does is it will bring up a map of where all your devices are. There's also a Find My application you can install on your own devices. But if you're on someone else's device, you can go to the website to find them. And if you pull down the All Devices menu, you can see all of the devices that you have on your account, and it will find out where they are and where they last were. So if I go to that one, so this one is currently offline, so it doesn't find the devices that are not online. So my computer at work is offline, but my watch and my iMac here and my phone here. So what this is mostly useful for is finding your phone. If you left your phone somewhere, is it in the house or did you leave it at work? You don't often forget your computer, especially a desktop computer, but it's possible. And so it will show you on the map where your device is. And so if it says it's at home and you still can't find it, you can make it play a sound. Oh, and my phone is muted. So I will there it is. So it'll play this sound, and it will actually show on screen that the Find My is ringing to help you find it in your house somewhere. So it's not. Where's the zoom? It's not. How do I want to say this? It isn't super precise, so it can show you where it is in general, but it really can't tell the difference between it's in my house, it's in my car, it's upstairs, it's downstairs. But at least I know I didn't leave it at work, which is horrible. You can also put it into lost mode, and what that will do is you can put a phone number on the screen, and so if somebody finds it, they can call that phone number and arrange for you to get it back. And there's also an erase option where you can erase the device if you're sure you're not going to get it back, or you're afraid if someone else is going to get to your data. You excuse me, you can do a remote erase. So the minute that phone joins the internet, which it will do as soon as it's turned on, it will erase itself. So you can stop people from getting into your data, potentially. They would have to have your password anyway. But if someone did get your password, this would stop them from getting into your data. Now, one of the things that we have at the shop is that if you bring your computer in for a hardware repair, we need you to turn Find My off on that device. Because Find My is associated with all the serial numbers of the components inside your device. And so we need you to turn Find My off so we can replace a hardware component. And then when the service is done, you can turn it back on again. And so we often have trouble with people who have forgotten their Apple ID password, and so they can't turn it off. So we can't repair their phone until they do. So then they got to go through the whole forgot procedure to change their password. And yeah, our old laptop is offline. So the other thing you can do when your device is offline, for example, you have, well, actually no, before that, when your device is signed into your Apple ID, there's something called activation lock enabled. And that means nobody can use your device without your Apple ID password. Even if they erase it, it will come up and ask for your Apple ID password. And when Apple instituted that around the iPhone 4 or 5, I think it was, it really cut down on iPhone theft because the bad guys know that they can't erase the phone and sell it to somebody else. And so one of the things you should always do when you're buying a used phone is make sure you can set it up and log into your own ID before the other guy goes away. We have had several cases where people have bought used iPhones online, and it shows up and they can't get into it because the previous person's name is still on it, which probably means it was stolen. But it could just mean that the person sold their device without realizing they needed to turn that off. And a couple of them were on Walmart.com, which is interesting because Walmart allows third-party sales, same as Amazon and eBay. So you think you're buying an iPad from Walmart, but it turned out to be a used iPad from somebody else who probably stole it. And that person wasn't very happy when we told them there's nothing we can do about it. If you know the device is gone and you're never going to use it again, you can remove it from your account. And that will let someone else sign in and use that device. So when you know you're selling your device, you want to turn off Find My before you erase the device. Or if you already have erased it, then you can remove from account in the iCloud.com/find. The other thing this can do for you is if you have kids, you can turn on Find My on their device and make a family out of them. Because you can share your location with family members, and then you can track your kids. So everybody's worried about advertisers tracking them or trackers inside vaccines. But you're carrying a GPS tracker in your pocket all the time. And it has a video camera and an audio camera. So you can keep an eye on where your kids are or where your spouse is. So you have to be careful that you don't do anything bad when you have Find My turned on. Has anyone used Find My to find a device they thought they lost? Yep, quite a few. Hey, Ed. Very handy.
So, Steve, quick question again. I think you already answered it. I was going to try practicing using the Find My during the meeting here for an extra iPad I have, but I have the iPad turned off.
Mm-hmm.
And are you saying that it will not be able to find something that's turned off?
Right, it will show up as offline. There is an option in the Find My section on a phone. I don't believe it's on the computer. Let me check real quick here. Yeah, it's on the. There is one on the computer too. Let me turn that back on. when you go into Find My, oh, it spawned a new window, so the new window is not going to share. Under Options, actually, are you seeing that Options window?
Talking to me?
Probably not.
Uh-huh.
Anybody?
Just...
Yeah, when you click on Options in System Preferences, there's an option to send your last device even when it's offline, or send your location when it's offline. And you can do the same thing on phones as well. Let me see if I can find a picture of that. iPhone, Find My.
Oh, sorry, that's under System Preferences, and then.
And then Apple ID.
Apple ID, right? Yeah,
yep.
Okay.
And then Find My, and then Options.
I got.
Steve, I had a situation where I left it in a rent-a-car.
Ooh, yeah.
And when I realized it, I went to my computer. I wasn't really sure where it was, and then I realized it as I watched it going down the map on the road.
Yep. There have been some interesting news magazines where someone has had a device stolen. Well, they intentionally left it out to get stolen just to see what would happen, and then watched it moving around, and then went to that person's house and said, I think my phone is here, because shows them on the map, in one of the cases was it John Stossel, one of the news guys, and he got really yelled at and screamed at, what are you talking about? Nothing, and so then he came back with the cameras and the news magazine microphone in his hand, and the guy said, "Oh yeah, I found it at work. I was going to turn it into Lost and Found." Well, you work at the train station. Why did you bring it home? But yeah, leaving it behind in a rental car or in a taxi or something. If you're lucky, they will find it and be able to track down who you are. Apple has also created the AirTags, so you can use the Find My for other devices. So you can get a keychain ring. You can put it in shoes, luggage, and there are privacy things built in. Let me see if it talks about them. That if a unknown AirTag is seen near you, you will get a warning. So the AirTags are assigned to your Apple ID, and they broadcast a beacon to be found if they're needed. And so if your phone picks up the beacon of an AirTag that's not assigned to you, it gets a warning to cut down on people using AirTags for stalking.
Steve?
Yeah?
Did you, I read something the other day that car thieves...
Yeah, I read that too.
The AirTags, they put the AirTags and attach them to Mercedes and all these
high-end cars, yeah.
And they wait and see where the car goes home, and then later on that night they will go and steal the car.
Yeah. There is a distance issue because they're Bluetooth. If you can attach it to the trunk or the rear bumper or something, it may be far enough away from the person that their phone doesn't recognize it's near, and they don't get the warning, they reduce the length of time before it warns you. I remember Apple did that. I think it used to be a couple of days before it warned you there was an unknown AirTag. And let me see if this tells me how long they dropped it to. Hopefully they dropped it to hours. Yeah, random time between 8 and 24 hours. Since that's still a long time for something like this. But one of the things that is the usual rebuttal for this is they could have followed you home from the store anyway. There actually has been a huge problem in mall parking lots, mostly since the Apple Store came out, that they'll watch people walking out of the store with these Apple bags. The bags are very distinctive, that have expensive stuff in them, and mug them on the way to the car. Or watch them put the stuff in the car and then follow them home, literally. There was actually a court case a few years ago where the police put a GPS tracker on a suspect, and and then caught the suspect at home. And the defendants sued along with the ACLU. I wonder if I can find that case, because he was at home and has a reasonable expectation of privacy. So when his car drove into the garage, the GPS was still broadcasting. Tracking GPS car. Yeah, without a warrant. The police were saying it's no different than having an officer follow that person and seeing them walk into their home. And the court ruled that yes, it is. Since the GPS is physically going into a private residence, that's illegal. Just like the police officer going into the private residence without a warrant is also illegal. Yeah, so this was in 2018. And it was for pretty nasty drug charges. But you don't want to allow things like that could leak over into something else. There have been cases reported of police officers tracking down their exes using police resources, and that's always terrible. So there's always some way to abuse the system, but it is kind of interesting to watch your stuff moving around. In that news magazine, the phones they left in a mall in L.A., and one of them ended up in Las Vegas, and someone won it in a poker game, and came back to Reno or something like that. So that one had quite a long range. And then so they went to the people and then explained this was a news magazine and you know, this, that, and the other thing. Only one person offered to give the phone back once they found out it had been stolen. Well, I didn't steal it. I found it. Oh, okay, we saw you pick the bag up, sitting on the bench. It wasn't your bag, so that's stealing. No, I found it. But only one person out of the dozens that they did this with offered to give the phone back. And the most common excuse was that somebody stole my phone from me, so they felt justified in stealing a phone from somebody else. That was very annoying. So Find My can come in handy. So remember that iCloud.com/findmy. Oops. iCloud.com/find will get you to your find map to see where all your devices went.
Steve, I hate to do this, but I need to ask you to repeat something. I was foolishly trying to listen to you and play with stuff at the same time. No, listening to you was not foolish. Trying to do something else at the same time was foolish. And I think we were talking about what happens if, like, my iPad, for example, is turned off. And I think you were explaining that there is a feature that will allow the Apple ID to know the last location where it was before it was turned off. Is that
Yes.
what it was?
Yep, and that's a setting in System Preferences on the Mac or Settings on the phone.
And so it's, for example, just for the hell of it, now that I am listening to you and screwing around at the same time, let me go to System Preferences on my MacBook, and then I want to go through the Apple ID.
Yep.
Privacy.
Apple ID.
Apple ID. And then
Find My.
down to the Find My app, and it has a little thing that says options. I want to click that,
Yep.
and it's okay.
One of the options is participate in the Find My Network, lets you locate this Mac even when it's offline.
Ah, okay. So I will say turn on.
So, well, yes. For most people, that's fine. So what it does is it turns your Mac into a beacon, and if your Mac walks by anybody else's Mac, that Mac will say, oh, hey, there's Charlie's Mac. I better tell Apple ID that I saw it.
Well, the next thing it does is a box pops up that says disable Find My Network.
Yeah, if you hit turn off, it will do that. So is Find My Network already on?
Well, it is now. I'm not sure whether it was before I clicked the thing or not, but it's on now.
Yeah.
So that should be cool, right?
Yep. And on the phone, there's when you go into the Find My, there's two choices. Find My Network, you can turn on, and then there's a Send Last Location. So when the phone's battery gets to be critically low, it will send the location to Apple servers before the battery dies. And that's I think that's only on the phone. I don't think the iPad has that. Let me see.
Okay.
Because the phone has a GPS and a constant internet connection, it's able to do that.
Why is it important to have it be able to find my network?
The Find My Network, it's not your network. It's a network of people. So it's all the other.
It's not Find My Network. It's the Find My Network.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And it's everyone else and their Apple devices that will talk to each other to help everyone find everyone else's devices.
How does it find something that's turned off?
When it turns back on.
Oh, if somebody tries to
yeah.
get into it.
Yep. So you may have heard of the Tile and Tracker. There have been third-party tracking programs like this. They haven't caught on as much because they only work with themselves. So Tile only works with other tiles. So you need to have a lot of tiles in order to make it useful. And actually, I think it was Tile. One of them sued Apple for basically restraint of trade because when Apple made their tracker, there's no reason to buy a Tile anymore. So what Apple did is they opened the Find My Network to third-party companies. So you can get a Tile, you can get a tracker, you can get, I think Belkin has one. The thing that's most annoying about the third-party tracking services is that they cost money. Excuse me. The Apple tracker, it's a one-time fee for the tracker, and then there's no fee for the actual tracking service. So that's pretty convenient. What was the other one? TRICKR.com. Tracker. Nope, maybe that's the one that's gone. The Tracker. Yeah, so The Tracker, not supported on Apple or Android. So apparently it only works if it's not supported on Apple or Android. What's it work on? So it only works on itself. The early ones you couldn't replace the battery, and so that was annoying too. But they said the battery would last a couple of years, so you didn't have to worry to replace your battery only once or two a year. But there was a big news a couple of days ago. Yeah, so a company bought Tile called Life360, and they are selling all of the Tile tracking and location data to anyone who wants it. And so if you have been using a Tile, you may want to try to find out a way to delete all your data. So they had a breach, and people found out that the data was already available. 33 million people who use the Tile app. and a tile itself. So was anyone using tile? You may want to stop. Alrighty, any other questions about Find My?
We bought a tile package and then never used it.
It's one of the things you want to get around to. The frustrating thing on Apple AirTags, the AirTags themselves aren't that expensive. I think they're $25 each, or 4 for $100, something like that, which is the same as $25 each. $29 each, or 4 for $99, so they're not too bad. It's the accessories that are bloody expensive. They have an Hermes leather strap that's like $1,000 or some ridiculous thing.
Oh, no wonder you'd want to find it.
Yeah.
You could make your own from scratch.
Yeah.
For a lot less.
There are even people who figured out how they could drill a hole in the AirTag to put it on the keychain by itself. But almost the entire inside of the AirTag is a battery. Here we go, accessories. So you don't want to just drill into the AirTag. So even Apple's leather keyring costs more than the AirTag itself. So there's an Hermes for $300. But you can go on Amazon and Belkin for $12. You have
well,
to be...
the Apple thing itself doesn't need to be visible. I mean, you could just put it in a little pouch and it would still function.
But if you want to use it on a key ring, you kind of need something to hang on to it.
Well, so don't use a key ring.
Well, that's finding your keys is a big thing.
If you want to find your keys,
yeah.
then you need to
or you put one in your wallet so you can track where your wallet is.
Pretty much.
Let's see, AirTag.
They're with your Find My.
Yeah. So drilling a hole in an AirTag. Let me see.
They're coming out with a remote that has an automatic finder in it.
We are so annoyed that none of the Apple TV remotes have the Find feature built in, and it's probably because it would add to the price. The remote's already $100 to buy separately, so when you think about it, the $150 Apple TV is a $50 set-top box and a $100 remote, so that's a pretty good deal.
I don't need to have the Find My for the remote. All I need to do is on the phone, on your watch, you can ping your phone.
Yeah.
That's all I need on the remote, is just to ping the remote, because I know it's either on one side of the couch underneath the cushions or the other one. So
yeah, which cushion is it under?
Somewhere in there.
That would take.
It's also such a small remote that it's easy to lose it.
Yeah. The new remote, which was it the 3rd generation now, is a little better, but it would take another chip in it, which is probably why they didn't do it yet. Maybe they will later. So I got
one of those remotes from the Apple remote from the company that made them for Sweden or something like that. What's the name of them? It's an Apple remote.
I've seen a cover for that makes it a lot more useful.
What is it?
Let me find it. One of the biggest criticisms of the early remotes is let me go back to that page, is that they're so symmetrical that you can't tell in your darkened living room, because you're watching a movie, which way it is. And you're always picking it up wrong, and you're trying to slide on the touchpad, but you're not on the touchpad anymore. So the new remote helps a little of that, because it's round at one end and not at the other end. But yeah, there was a case.
It's called a Function 101 TV remote.
Yeah, that was it. Yep.
And it's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit easier to handle.
You can, the Function 101 for $30. You can program your existing remote to work with the Apple TV, and so you can use your your cable box remote. You can use your television remote. Inside the Apple TV settings, there is a button to learn remotes. And then you can choose any remote you want to control the Apple TV. Yeah, teach an infrared remote.
You just have to.
Yeah, go to remotes and devices and learn remote. And then it asks you to, press the left, press the right, press the up, press the down. And you can teach Apple TV what your remote is. Yeah, here it is. So in settings, under remotes and devices, you can learn remote. And you can have it learn different remotes. So you and your wife can have dueling remotes. So it asks you on the remote to push the buttons that will mimic the Apple TV remote functions. And so you don't necessarily need to use the Apple TV remote itself.
Steve, if you have those separate his and hers remotes, can you program the Apple TV to give one priority over the other?
Nope. It's the last one that's pushed.
Can you use your phone as a remote?
Yes, the iPhone has a built-in Apple TV remote. It used to be a separate app, but now it's built into the control center. So if you swipe up from the bottom, you'll see a little icon that looks like an Apple TV remote. And that becomes your Apple TV controller. And then it's lit up and glows at you, so that makes it easier to use.
They should put a Siri in the remote, like I do with my phone. I say, "Hey Siri, where are you?" And she says, "I'm here." And then I find my phone.
Yep.
They did that with the remote, and you said, "Hey Siri, where are you?" And the remote said, "I'm here."
You have to push the button to activate Siri.
Yeah, but if you can't find it, you can't
Yeah,
press the button.
doesn't help. Here we are. So in the control center, this is the icon for Apple TV. And then it brings up an Apple TV controller. So you have your slide bar, you've got your mute, you've got your jump forward, jump backward, menu buttons, play, pause. So you can do it with your phone as a remote as well. And it also works on your iPad.
Sometimes I help Carol find her phone by just calling it.
Yeah. You don't need any of
Listen
this
for
Find
where
My
it
Stuff. You
rings.
call, yeah. So this is the inside of the Apple AirTag. And so there's very few places where it's safe to drill if you want to drill a hole to put it on your own key ring. And you could easily damage it.
Which part of that was the battery?
The whole thing is the battery. So the battery takes up almost the entire device. It's a standard 2032 battery.
Okay.
And then once you take the battery out, they pulled the cover off and got to the circuit board underneath. So the battery is replaceable on the Apple unit as well. Alrighty. So let's move on to streaming services, which is the big question. So suppose there were hundreds of streaming services to choose from. How would you decide the best one for you? So there's a website called suppose.tv. And the neat thing that it can do is you can click on what networks you watch. So sort of the first step is to write down a list of what networks you watch. Not just the channel numbers, the actual network. So, we watch TNT, we watch USA, we watch A&E, we watch History, we watch Discovery. So you go down the side here. Shirley watches her HD TV. And let's see, Disney Channel, Weather Channel. So you go down the side and pick the services you watch. And then it will tell you what streaming service offers those channels and how much that service is. It can get a little weird when you add some crazy channels. Let's put in Univision. No, that didn't do it.
Do QVC.
QVC. So let's go search for QVC. Yep, QVC. Oh, and QVC 2 even. Didn't know about QVC 2. QVC.
Want to watch them all go away?
Thank
Do
you.
the tennis channel.
Stop autocorrecting. QVC. No. All right, so we add QVC. So excuse me. Sometimes it's a service. Excuse me. It's a service plus an add-on to get something you want extra. We ran into that a lot when we added the Science Channel and National Geographic. That often jumped it to another service. So what we did here is, instead of finding a service that had Discovery and Science, we got Discovery Plus separately, and that has a whole bunch of networks that are owned by Discovery. And so for that, one of the things that's handy is a website called Just Watch. So you type in a show you're interested in. So let's say Yellowstone. And there are shows and there are movies. So let's say it's the show from 2018. So the Yellowstone show is available for watching, and you can stream it on Fubo, or you can buy it on Apple TV. And then here are other services you can stream it on. Well, Paramount Plus. So we got Paramount Plus because we're Star Trek fans, and we got Disney because we're Disney, Marvel, Toys, Pixar, Star Wars. So those two packages together give you a lot of the stuff that we like to watch. So this JustWatch.com will tell you what service a show you're watching is on, and I just saw Lost in Space Season 3 is coming out. And so here are the services you can stream it on. No, search for Lost in Space. A show. There we are. So you can buy it on Apple TV. Now Apple TV, you can buy most shows. But if you just want to stream it and not own it, that can be different. So the television landscape has changed significantly when it was just the 4 broadcast TVs. And then cable came along, and there were dozens of other networks to watch shows on. And then we started having streaming services like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, and they're streaming only. And so now, excuse me, there are shows that are only available on those streaming services. So we can, for Lost in Space, you subscribe to Netflix to stream it, or you can buy it from other services. But not every season. Only one season is available. And some of that is like the DVDs. That after a show came out, you had to wait a while for the DVDs to come out before you could watch it.
That's why we need Netflix.
Yeah, I think we may have to. I'm waiting to see if there's a better deal coming out. Remember how Wayne used to, on New Year's Eve, he would watch people selling off their Netflix subscriptions? So you pay $15 a month for Netflix, and I think 5 people can watch at a time. So if you get 4 other people to give you $10 a month, you've made it out ahead.
Oh, Matthew didn't want to upgrade so we could get his Netflix.
Yeah, he's only got one at a time. So the Orville was another one that started on Fox, but then went to Hulu only. So that was annoying.
Steve, to interrupt briefly, sorry, but that thing you were just talking about with the multiple users on Netflix, weren't they doing something to crack down on that?
Sort of. So the intent is that it's people in your household. yeah, so one user profile can stream on 4 things at a time. What Netflix has been doing, every now and then we'll read about it. There we are, cracking down on password sharing. If your IP address, again, we're back to IP addresses on how they track you. If someone is watching Netflix on your account from New York and someone else is watching Netflix on your account from Los Angeles, they're probably not in your immediate family, but they could be. You could have, a kid that moved. Technically, you're not supposed to do it. It's only supposed to be family, but it is difficult to police. And so if they do stop you, if you don't live with the owner of this account, you need your own account. So if you are on a different IP address, there may be a limitation on how many people can watch a single Netflix account at a single time. The intent is that, mom's in one room, dad's in another room, and the kids are in their own other rooms watching excuse me, watching different shows on a single account.
That raises a question, because I don't have any of these things, but if you have, let's say, a Netflix account and you're traveling, can you use it in another location just fine?
Well, that's the question, because your spouse is at home on their IP address, you're traveling on your IP address, you are in a different area, and you are technically not in the same household. So I think from some of the other stories I read, it has to be done consistently and for a long time. So if it's a couple of weeks, it may not be a problem. If it's becoming years, then it may be a problem. Yeah, it may not be shared with individuals beyond your household, but if you are out of your house at the moment and you're in line at the doctor's office and want to catch up on a show you were watching, you can. So we don't know for sure. The rest of that's ads, but they're trying to cut down on it. And if they do block you, then you may have to send them an email saying, I was out of town and this is my account. So the Just Watch will tell you what services a show is on, and Suppose.tv will show you what streaming service a network is on. And then the other thing that is often missed with a DVR is no. Is that what I wanted? Is a list of what I've watched and what I haven't watched. No, it's not Titan TV.
I apologize. I'm going to backtrack a second. I understand that Suppose.tv will show you what streaming service a network is on. Are you saying that Just Watch will show you what network a show is on, or what streaming service it's on?
Both.
Okay.
So if you pick a show that's only on streaming, it shows you the streaming services. And so if I pick one that's on broadcast also, then it also shows me what streaming. Oh no, it is only streaming services. Sorry. I guess if it's a broadcast show, you already know what channel it's on.
Okay.
So it'll show you what streaming services a show is on.
Okay, thank you.
And then to keep track of what shows you've watched and what shows you haven't watched, there is an app called TV Time, which is basically your DVR list. So you tell it what shows you want to watch, and then you mark off the episodes that you have watched, and then it shows you the episodes you haven't watched. There's a social component, too, where you can comment on episodes with other people, which is kind of handy.
Does that do that automatically when you watch a show, or do you have to go in and log it?
You have to manually go in and log it. and they have badges. So I watched, there's a binge badge. You mark that you watched 3 episodes in a row and you get a binge badge. Well, I forgot to mark it last time I watched this. But Go ahead. So what we have done here is we decided on YouTube TV. It has most of the TV channels we want, so we can get rid of cable TV. And we already subscribe to Paramount and Disney and Discovery for almost everything else. But now it looks like we may have to go to Netflix. So there's that one show on Netflix and that one show on Hulu. So you subscribe for a month or get the free trial, binge watch it, and then cancel. So that's what a lot of people are doing, especially younger kids who have never paid for cable television. Our son, when he got his own apartment, he doesn't have cable TV. He does everything online. Excuse me. Because that's the way he's used to it. And when you're looking for a show, you can subscribe to that service, watch the show, and then cancel that service. So it's easier to switch services than it is to cancel your cable TV, because there wasn't anything else besides cable TV in the original thing.
But if you do that too often, won't they catch you and say, "Oh, you just went and had a free trial just last month"?
Well, it's by your credit card, so you can't get a free trial on the same credit card.
Oh, so
if you use a different credit card, sometimes it's by address, not credit card, by email address. And so
they'd say,
yeah, you got to make up another email address and have another credit card to get another trial. We actually did we got the Black Friday YouTube deal. So instead of 1 week free trial, we got the first month at $50 off, which isn't bad. So YouTube is $65 a month, YouTube TV, which is half of our cable TV bill. So most of the time, you can cut your cable TV bill in half, even after you add all the subscription services. And so, what are you paying, like $30, Shirley, for all the services you have?
I pay $7 for Discovery Plus, $7 for Disney, and $5 for CBS.
So that's $20. So we're in it for $85, and our cable TV before was $150, so we're already cheaper.
And Netflix is $10, I think.
Well, if you want 2 streams, I think we can get away with 1 stream, which is $8.99.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
And what I have found is that with YouTube TV, it lets you watch live television. See, that's always one of the biggest things about a streaming service, is wanting to watch live television. And especially live events like sports or the Oscars or the Olympics, something. Although I hear watching the Olympics online is a horrible, expensive proposition.
Well, Peacock is NBC, so that's a free app.
But
you can watch on Peacock.
They might not be showing the Olympics on the app.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They made a big deal about it.
All right, that's good.
I watched the Summer Olympics online on the their website, and you could stream everything live and replay it on the NBCOlympics.com.
I remember reading something about somebody was complaining on how difficult it was to get the Olympics streaming only. Maybe it was in the.
Depends on what you're watching.
Yeah. Yeah. What sport do you watch? Yeah.
Me, I'm going for figure skating, so that's my sport. But then I like skiing too, and I like speed skating for some of it, and I end up watching other things that I'm like, wow, that sounds interesting. Except for curling, that's a long sport.
I was watching curling the other night. Apparently, it was the curling championship to say who's going to go to the Olympics. So with YouTube TV, as with most of the TV services, you get a programming guide that shows you what's on right now, because I'm in the live section. And so say I want to record this show coming up. YouTube calls it adding to the library. So now I've added that show to the library, and it will automatically record all the upcoming episodes of that show. And one of the things that made us pick YouTube is that it's unlimited DVR for a year. So you can record 100 shows a night, and they don't expire for a year. So if you record 100 shows at night, you're going to be hard-pressed to keep up in a year. But pardon?
Whose DVR is that on?
Theirs.
Okay.
So they probably only record it once on their hard drive and then stream it to whoever hit record. So they don't have to record multiple streams.
Right.
YouTube TV also has video on demand. So past episodes that aren't recorded, you can go back and watch it as well as a video on demand. And so that becomes your library of all the things you have recorded. And it uses your Google account. And so I have my Google account with all of my shows, and Shirley has her Google account with all of her shows. So you don't have to mix your shows together like a traditional DVR. And if there's something you both watch, it doesn't matter whose DVR you put it on.
So how much is YouTube per month?
$65.
Ow.
But it's a third the cost of regular cable TV. And then in a show, we'll go into Magnum. It's telling me I watched this episode, and so, all right, it doesn't know I watched this one because that's before we started. So I've sort of cut down on how much I'm using TV time to track my episodes because YouTube does that for me. And as we move farther into YouTube, then it's going to let me know things that I've already watched. And it's kind of neat, like other YouTube YouTube video, YouTube TV will show you related shows based on the show you've clicked on. So maybe you want to go watch this other show too.
Steve, you talked about like viewing older stuff on demand kind of thing. Is there an additional charge for that?
No.
Okay.
There are. Pardon?
Does YouTube itself list the different shows that are available on it?
The different networks, yes.
So you need to go through things like Just Watch again, and then look for those now that brings you around to the question of Suppose TV. Are they listing YouTube offerings now?
Yes. So if I could make my window bigger, there we go. So YouTube TV. So this one is showing $71 a month because one of the networks I added must be an add-on.
What did you add?
I just clicked a whole bunch of them.
Oh, you mean for you?
Just randomly for the show, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I must have picked one that raised it up.
I was doing some research. I discovered that Philo had a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of the stations that we really like.
So that's part of it. Now I get the TV guide, which I like because it shows me all the upcoming specials and different shows, and I can use that as my guide as to here's a show that maybe I normally never watch, but they're having a special episode with someone I do like, so I can record that show now, whereas before I just let it go because I don't watch that show.
Yeah. So
I like that, and it has a lot of the things on Netflix and all the different streaming services too as to what's coming up, what specials they're doing, like Bridgerton on Netflix, and so I use that as a handy-dandy, just regular guide to it and stuff. I really like it. So
yeah. We looked at Philo, or I looked at Philo, 64 channels for $25 a month, But then when I added on all the other channels I wanted to watch, it raised it up higher than I wanted to go. And so that's why I decided on YouTube TV.
Plus, more for like Showtime and HBO and all those.
Well,
Stars.
those are add-ons for pretty much any streaming service.
Right.
And so that's what the Suppose.tv can help you with by putting in the networks you watch and find the best options. Now, I forgot about Dish TV. So Dish has a internet-only service now where you don't actually need a satellite dish. And so they've got 120 channels for $50 a month or $60 a month. Plus local channels are a big limitation for most of them. Philo didn't have any local channels. It was basically cable channels only. So if you live close enough to the city to use an antenna for your local channels, it's not as big a deal. But getting a DVR for an antenna is tricky.
Well, that's why YouTube TV has got all the local channels.
It's got all the local channels, yeah.
But I like Spectrum News, but that's,
Yeah, I know.
if I could just get the news part of it, I would be happy. But can't do that. So you have to go back to the other news channels, I guess.
So YouTube TV is still doing their 2 weeks free and then $50 off for the first month. So that was their Black Friday Cyber Week sale. That's pretty good.
So I think part of it too is that you have to pick something and you just start using it and see if it works for you. If it really does have all the channels you want, and then, because there's always going to be some channel that you can't. Like my big thing right now is I saw one of my favorite shows was canceled, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. And I just saw that on Roku channel, they went and recorded a 2-hour movie of it, and they're thinking of reviving the show now and putting it on Roku. And I'm like, I really want to watch that, but I think you need a Roku device to watch it, don't you?
No.
Where can I watch it?
You can watch it on your Peacock channel.
Again?
Peacock Premium.
Oh, so you have to pay for it. Right now I have Peacock
Yeah.
for free because I have the basic,
You're right. So you have to, right. So right now it's only available for pay.
Right.
On
but
pay
I don't
services.
care. If I could just do it once, then it's, but if it becomes a series again, then obviously I'm not going to pay each time I watch an episode.
Yeah, all right. So that's when binging and canceling the service becomes popular. I'm wondering how much this has killed DVD sales. Because it used to be if there was a show you wanted to watch on a channel you didn't get, you just waited till the DVDs came out at the end of the season. And there's a different people that want the DVD. Peacock, it says Peacock period. Maybe we can get it on Peacock. There are people that want the DVDs to keep. Maybe Peacock has it, Shirley. There's people that want the DVDs, and there's people that just want to watch the show once, and that's the end of it. And so you don't need to buy the DVDs.
Well, it's a great series.
So that's that's the Just Watch. You type in the show you liked, and it tells you what services it's on.
That's the show. This one was a special Christmas movie. The show I've watched, but the special
but it's
movie is what I wanted to see.
Right, and the station streaming the show probably has the movie too.
Well, not right this minute because it just came out, I guess, on the 4th. So it might be it's still too new yet for them to show it. See the Christmas episode.
Yeah, so right now it is only available on the Roku channel for free.
Right, but we don't have
Actually,
that,
it's
right?
exclusive to the Roku channel.
I know, which we don't have.
We could add it. How much
would Roku be?
Yeah, how much is the Roku channel? See, now that's confusing too, because the Roku is different than the Roku channel, which is different than the Roku box, which is the same as Apple TV is different from the Apple TV box, which is different from the Apple TV service.
But I do like that they give you the option that you could buy that one episode or something if there's something special.
You can play
you
it for
wanna
free on
watch.
the internet.
That's what I wanted to.
I just started playing it.
Oh,
Yep, an hour and 39 minutes. So you can watch it on the internet for free.
okay. I want to put it on the TV.
You could AirPlay it from your iPad.
I haven't quite learned enough how to do that yet. You got to give me a little mini course.
There may be a Roku app for the Apple TV.
I tried.
Yes, there is.
Well, there is.
Yeah. So you can download the Roku app on the Apple TV.
Okay.
And you can add the Apple TV app to the Roku.
And how much is that to use the Roku?
Some of it's free.
See, I don't know what's on it that I would say, oh yeah, maybe that would be good.
Says it's all totally free.
Oh.
Buy the box.
Cool, I'll go get it.
Yeah, or we can add the app to the Apple TV.
Yeah, add the app then.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, see, here we are. We're learning something just by following, something you wanted to see, and then find out, oh, here's how to get it, and look, you get it for nothing. That's the best thing. I'll have to go watch that then, not tonight, but.
Let me just search on my phone. I have to spell it right. It's only 4 letters, and I can still spell it wrong.
I think we had a Roku at one point, didn't we? We had Marsha's.
We do, yeah.
So we must still have it.
It's a really old one.
Oh, well, if it's old and we don't need it, we should get rid of it, right?
We probably did. Yeah, Roku official Roku mobile app. Cool.
All right, you didn't know that. See, I taught you something new.
Yeah. There's so many shows. And I got to keep remembering Just Watch. So Just Watch and type it in, and it will tell you where you can just watch it.
Well, I got to make a list now, too. Because now that I don't have the cable thing, really, it's like I have to learn it enough to where I remember how to switch back and forth and to do this.
Our DVR started malfunctioning, and you have to reboot it every couple of days. So it was a good time to get rid of it.
Well, the cable box is just like gone crazy, on and off, and it's like this really pushed us into saying yes, we have to stream now. So when are we going to officially get rid of the cable box? Because I have to finish up with some of the stuff that's on there.
Yeah, whenever you can. I think the 15th is the end of the pay billing month, so before then.
Okay, that's good. That gives me a time to.
This weekend, so I've got to say Monday.
Okay, I was going to say that.
Somebody in the chat is talking about a service, VOG. Oh, is that spam? Somebody spamming the YouTube chat? VOY.FYI. I'm going to Google that first to see if it's real or not. 4 different people put in very similar text chats. FYI. Yeah. Yeah, that's spam.
All right. Anything
How
else?
long have you had your YouTube?
About a week.
Okay, so here's comments on your comments. So the good thing about YouTube is the unlimited DVR. So if you can set something to record. It's like if you record the Grammys, it'll record Grammys. Like if you forget next year and you don't know it's on, it'll still record it. And you can say, oh, it was on yesterday, and you can still watch it because it records every channel that show like forever. So that's good. So you don't have to think. You don't have to sit there and program every day, which is good.
Well, what's good is when you have a series that goes on hiatus, for a couple months or whatever, and comes back and then restarts, you may have forgotten that it's coming back and then it's already programmed to start, which is good.
Or if it changes, the day or time.
Not unless they change the title of the show some way.
Yeah.
Then you have to redo it again because it doesn't recognize it, because it said Home Alone and now it's the Home at Home whatever, and now it's the same thing. But
well, because it's they made a new Home Alone movie with a new kid.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. I wanted to see it. No British accents.
But the bad thing, just remember, like, if they get rid of a channel, you're going to lose all your recordings. So remember, keep that in mind.
We always are talking about our DVR percentages. I think we're down to 35% on the DVR.
Yep, because I keep hurrying up and watching stuff to get it off. I recorded a lot of Christmas movies that I have to, classic Christmas movies that even though I have them on DVD, I just recorded them anyways. It's easier.
And if you're
a way to get the recordings on a DVR off the DVR, is there?
Yes, but it's a little tricky. It's the analog hole. So the DVR will play out to the TV. So you get a recording box that has an HDMI input, and then it will capture whatever's coming out of the HDMI. Some DVRs have analog outputs for old TVs, so the red, white, and yellow connectors, and then you can plug that into a recording device.
My VCR back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see,
Carol and I have been watching the Doom Patrol. We found it to be very amusing. You can get it through HBO Max.
Yeah, I tried this with Spectrum for a while. Some of the Spectrum cable boxes and DVRs have a external SATA port, so you can plug in a SATA hard drive. And yeah, we were eligible. So then the SATA port plugs into the hard drive, and then you can start a recording, and it will copy it to that hard drive.
Ooh, maybe that's what you need to do with the all that's left on the DVR, because most of it is your shows.
Well, and it's already recording them on YouTube.
Yeah, but you got the old shows,
which are on demand. Yeah.
Yes, because you know what you didn't see. I made that list for you of all the shows you didn't and caught up with. So, we watch too much TV. I guess that's the bottom line. Too many series, too many things, too many interests, and so many different channels, right?
YouTube's difficult with sports. If you watch the Olympics and you figure it all out, let me know. Because they're like we were saying earlier about the titles. It's like, because something might be, let's say, diving. It might be first round. It might be, so it's like, that's my problem with tennis. It's like you have to know exactly what it's called, and it might be listed differently, where you're trying to find tennis and it's listed as first round or something. So, and I had a hard time watching the Olympics on YouTube and trying to find what I was trying to watch, and then because it's not like linear, like recorded, so it's difficult.
Yeah. Part of that is like you have to fine tune it more, like look for if you can get an actual schedule online somewhere, you know what I mean, so you know what you're watching, kind of thing. Because when I go and record figure skating, they were doing all these different preliminary contests, whatever, up to see who was going to be picked for the Olympic team. And they have the Grand Prix, and they went to all different countries. One week it was Russia, one week it was France, then it was the US, it was, different countries. But it didn't necessarily mean that it recorded it on NBC. on the sports channel, right? So, and then I found that it didn't record it, so I could watch it. It would show me the list of them and say, oh, here's all these ones upcoming, but it never actually recorded them because I might not have gotten, they might have highlighted it for our area, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So, well, they have that. Figure Team Event 2-3.
Yeah, so this is the official NBC Olympics app.
What is it called? Just
Not app, website, NBCOlympics.com.
okay, that's what I need to know. NBC.
When do they start?
Looks like February.
That's good.
Well, because they're having all these, all these trials and stuff up to the actual Olympics for all the different sports to see who's coming, who's going, right? So if you want to follow along all the people and their different
Olympic channel's a good channel.
Right, because then you could pick what sport do you want to follow. Like I'm really big into the figure skating, but that doesn't mean I may not watch the skiing or the all the sledding and all the different other winter sports, because some of them are very interesting. Maybe not the long stretch, but they're interesting sometimes to watch the snowboarding things and stuff, which is kind of cool. So I don't know. NBC does that, so that's Peacock or the NBC app. So now if they have their own channel, though, then I can watch it on there and pick out what I want.
And that's kind of the fear of streaming services, is that every network has their own streaming service. Right. And so now you're going to have to subscribe to a dozen different services. So that was sort of the joke. In the early days of cable TV, they would bundle channels you don't want to watch. And so everyone said, we don't want a la carte TV. We want to pick and choose the channels we want to watch. Well, now we have that. You pick and choose whatever channels you want to watch based on what show you want to watch it on. And you could end up paying more than your cable TV bill was, because there are so many different streaming services with so many different shows available. And some of them are unique to a service like Netflix and not available on any other service.
Well,
you have to do all the specials. Like,
I guess this is just the joy of streaming.
We're in a transition period. Most of us are old enough to remember the transition from broadcast to cable. And the first VCR we got when I was a kid could only program in 10 stations at a time. So we had the 4 broadcast channels, so we could only pick 6 other cable channels we could watch at once, or we could watch on the VCR and record. So I would have to retune one of the channels manually to get a different channel if I wanted to record something else. And that was until cable boxes came out that could then show any channel, and you could record any channel.
We got spoiled now with hundreds of channels and hundreds of shows, and
yeah.
Again, you could just spend the whole day going between movies and TV shows and whatever.
Hey, folks, I was just looking at the New York State COVID-19 dashboard for Monroe County. We're up to a 7.1% infection rate.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, is that for people who have not been vaccinated kind of thing? Because I know they were splitting it down into who...
Rick, can you explain to me what those percent infection rates mean?
Right.
I think the state can explain it better than I can.
Well, I seldom have the patience or endurance to go through a government explanation of things.
What they say is per 100,000 people, so many of them get infected. They test so many a day, and so many of them test positive per day. And so Steve is showing you the dashboard right now. He can show you our region total. He can also show Monroe County right there.
Yeah.
The easier figure that I follow with my simple mind is the 7-day rolling average.
Well, that's right next to it.
That's the orange line.
And that's even worse. That's 8.9%.
Well,
cases per 100,000.
Yeah.
So what is 9% of 100,000?
So is that people who have
9,000? If it's 100,000,
divided by 9%, 11,000.
Yeah.
That's not a huge amount of people, but
that's in what, this county?
That's just Monroe County, yeah.
Over what period
Ontario
of time?
County's higher.
Over what period of time?
The last 7 days.
So they're saying there have been 9,000 cases in the last 7 days, or here exactly?
Yeah, but we still don't know what Omicron is in terms of the
well,
Pfizer being effective.
I just saw a thing today on Pfizer. They said that if you have had your 2 COVID doses plus a booster, it's very good. From what their latest thing, they're still working on more to do.
I want to know what the percentage is. That's what I'm looking for.
25%. No, it was 75. What was it? 75% with the something, and then they said another 25% if you've had the booster. So far they think that with the 3 shots, it's very good right now.
In terms of hospitalization and death, are you talking, or what?
Right. I mean, that you're protected enough. I mean, you could still be positive for it with the same as the other one where you might get sick or you might not, but you're just,
right.
It's not affecting you, basically.
So, basically after next week, we'll know by the January meeting how we did.
Oh, I see. Okay. I think we might be reading this a little wrong. So in Monroe County, 6,600 people were tested. And of those 6,600 people, 7% were positive.
Okay. So
which was the 470, which is
tested
positive prior
It's the
day.
percentage of those tested who test positive.
And people who are getting tested are getting tested for a reason.
Because
like they're
they,
sick or they've been
they're exposed or they
they're
think,
going to travel and they have to be tested. Okay.
So that doesn't mean that they're right.
So there's 70 cases per 100,000.
So
that's better than 11,000 per 100,000.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but still, that's telling you what an infection rate is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read an interesting rebuttal about nobody should wear winter coats because people who die of hypothermia are only 1 in 100 million, so it's such a small percentage you shouldn't bother wearing a winter coat. And even people who wear winter coats have died while wearing them, so they don't work anyway.
Well, that's really stupid logic, but okay.
Yeah,
that's the same logic people use with the vaccine.
Yes, that's right.
If you don't wear a coat and you get cold and you're cold and you get sick because you're not wearing a coat and you die of pneumonia, then you're not dying of exposure, you're dying of pneumonia. But you got it because you didn't wear a coat.
Yeah.
Right. So sort of the same convoluted thinking.
Yeah, but what if you get hit by a bus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not
Doesn't
wearing a
matter
coat.
whether you wear a coat or.
There is a CDC death. What's the death by vaccine? There's a misquoted death. No, not death by vaccine. Death after vaccine. About 12. Yeah, selected adverse reactions report. So the CDC has this publication, and it tells you how many people have had an adverse reaction to a vaccine. And there have been, somewhere in here it says, there have been 17,000 deaths after taking the COVID vaccine. Out of, 4 billion? So that's an extremely tiny percentage. And one of the problems is it's not deaths because of the vaccine. It's deaths after the vaccine was given. So, you were lightheaded and dizzy, stepped in front of a bus. That's counted as death after a vaccine. So a lot of people are misreporting this this database.
So they have to take into account people who stepped in front of buses without having a vaccine.
Yeah.
Right. Other things that, yes. All right. Are we done with streaming?
I think we're done. Yep.
Done with
All
streaming.
right.
Oh wait, I want to tell you one thing. I found today. If anyone is interested in AMC Plus, they have a special $1.99 a month for a year
Yeah.
if you prepay the year. So $23 you get it for a year. And
That
AMC
was-
Plus includes like 5 networks.
That was the last one. The last show we wanted was Doctor Who, and it's only available on AMC Plus.
But
But-
we already recorded it.
Yeah, but the recording didn't last. Or it didn't work because our DVR was messed up. But
Well,
I
you can
did.
get a BBC app.
Right, the BBC app has it, and it's available on YouTube TV on demand.
I
Well,
need to. I
Or
need
the
to.
Spectrum on demand.
We won't have Spectrum anymore.
Yeah, this is like instead of Spectrum.
Yeah.
Talking about.
I
Yeah,
need.
but we have it.
Yeah. We do. That's true.
I need to interrupt. And is Kim still with us? Are you there, Kim?
In body or spirit?
Yeah. Well, I have put my phone number in a direct chat to you. And make sure you have it because I think you were expecting that I would give you a ride to the Old Toad next Tuesday, right?
In theory.
Yeah. Well, if you want that,
I need to take a break.
Make
Hang
sure
on.
you got my phone number. Give me a call on Monday to remind me.
Okay.
Right? I mean, you may decide you're not going or whatever, that you're going to do it by Zoom. I also would encourage everyone on the board, anyone who chooses not to go to the Old Toad, to hook up with us by Zoom on Tuesday, so we have a quorum.
Yes. Well, I know Steve and I are planning on going.
I am too.
So that's 3.
Yeah,
about-
we need 5.
How about you, Rick and Carol? You going to come?
We're watching
I'd
the
rather not.
numbers. We're watching the numbers here.
What did you say, Carol?
I said we're watching the numbers.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, if you do it by Zoom, fine.
Yeah.
But we just need
Well,
to.
I'll definitely be on by Zoom if not in person. So
Yeah,
Well,
good.
I
Because
I just figure because, Steve and I don't go very many places with many people, and just sitting in the room is, if people are vaccinated, I don't think it's a big thing because we're not going to interact with the rest of the pub per se.
I think it's a small space with, I think the size of the establishment, and not counting the size of the snug, and there we're mainly talking about the company of each other, but I think it's an ideal place to pass COVID around.
Well, we can still wear masks. I mean, we don't have to.
And the point is that in any event, none of us should be dead before the end of the board meeting.
That's true.
I don't think it works that fast.
right, and so we should plan to log in at 7. Are you going to start earlier?
It depends on what time we actually get there because I made it for 7. Because he was encouraging me to make it for 7 instead of 7:30, because of the trivia game going on in the background. So I'm just encouraging anybody, to if you want to come in person, to be there sort of around 7:00. And then when Steve and I get there, when he can set it up, to put for the Zoom meeting, just kind of be aware that it'll be after 7.
Who's going to be going?
I'm going. Steve's going.
The Rays are going. Carol may go.
I'm not sure about Bob.
Kim may go. We don't. Bob's not with us tonight, right? We don't-
Right. I wasn't sure if he was going to go or not. He always.
I'm not going because I have to take my
Right.
wife to the airport on
So,
Wednesday.
Ken, what you're saying is you won't be able to join us by Zoom either, right?
Yes, I'll be in Zoom, but I'm just trying to be respectful for my wife and not have her get COVID. If for some
So
reason, I
she-
get it that, you
No.
know, I pass it
No.
on to
But
her,
she's
and she's
she's
traveling.
leaving next Thursday. Is that it? Not this Thursday.
No, she's leaving next Wednesday,
Okay, next Wednesday. Okay.
and we're having our board meeting next Tuesday. So
Right, right. I
next
was
day.
thinking
Right.
I was thinking she was leaving tomorrow.
no,
That's
no,
what
no,
I'm-
no, 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 no.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
will be able to join us by Zoom on Tuesday then, Ken.
Yes, I will.
Yeah. And I
All
might
right.
suggest to Steve, if he would like, that when we get there and we get set up, that he can send out an email with the link to the board members,
Right.
so that they know that it's a happening thing.
Well, won't we have the same link?
Yes,
As we
I
usually do?
assume so. I mean, I don't do that. Steve does, but I assume that's true. But my point is that if he also sends out an email with a link, then you will know that we have gotten to the Old Toad, to the Snug, sat down, ordered a drink, and got somebody's iPad, maybe mine, set up to do the, or Steve will do it from the club computer, whatever. But so that you're not going back and clicking on the link from the website over and over again, wondering when we're going to be there. That's all. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I'll have to do is, if you're not on Zoom yet, I'll just have to have my own drink.
That's
Well,
right.
You will
You
have
can,
to do that
you can
in
raise
any
a
event.
glass.
You'll
We
have
will-
to make your own warm mead.
Virtual drink.
No, I'm not having a virtual drink.
I don't think that Grubhub can deliver mead from the Old Toad, but you might look into it.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have my Manhattan.
All right.
Okay. We'll raise a toast. We'll raise our glass and
Yes,
toast.
we will. Kim, are you gonna be there Tuesday?
I hope so.
Okay.
Unless I get sick and die this weekend.
It's supposed to be 60 degrees by this weekend.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yes.
raining and 60 something.
So who knows what it'll be next Wednesday? It could be both.
Yeah.
Or nothing.
Another windstorm.
Yeah.
Next
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, not Wednesday, Tuesday.
I might even go put that on my calendar.
Because I know that I thought
I will
immediately
forget
Wednesday, and
otherwise.
then I was like, no, no, no. I had it written down on the wrong day too. Even
Oh,
though I
yeah.
had my note saying Tuesday, I still wrote it on Wednesday.
Shirley,
Yes.
make sure you have the phone list for board members with you in case we need to jog anybody who, would join us on Zoom if we reminded
Yep.
them that we were doing it.
I have those.
Good. Thank you.
I
Okay,
know
folks,
Steve
I'm
has
going to
got
sign
them.
off here. Good seeing you all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
good-
right.
Good
Great
night.
meeting. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So
Good night.
we're officially going to be ended at right now, 11:12, 10:12.
But who's keeping track?
So we'll just see who's left.
Are you guys staying on?
Huh?
Are you staying on? Or are you leaving?
Yeah, well, Steve has disappeared into the bathroom. So
I looked earlier and I was like up here like 5 times or something. I'm like, how was that possible? I was on 2 devices and then I got off one and I was like up here.
I don't know. You appear sometimes as 2 devices. So
I forgot to
know how
change my name tonight. I'm still spelled wrong.
Yeah, your 2 S's, right?
Yeah.
isn't that something you have to do on your device to tell it how to do it? Mine always says iPad mini me. I don't know why. I change it and it still keeps coming up that way.
Okay, I have to change it. See, now that we're done, here you go. Now I'm right.
Now where do you change it? What do you
click on
tap?
Click
Participant.
participants, and then you go to
Okay.
your name
Right. Okay. And then you can change
where it says
Rename.
more.
rename, right?
Yeah.
And then I could go back.
Then you could be Shirley's iPad Mini 5.
Yeah.
You
All
want a
right.
new
Then the
one?
next time. All right. Then the next time we do this, it should remember that, right?
Nope.
Sometimes
No,
it does, and sometimes it doesn't.
Ah. I went to Kohl's today, and I have had the hardest time changing my password, my email on the online app, right? So I go into the app and I had my old email, the Roadrunner one, right? So I go and it goes, I finally was able to say where I could change my email address. So I put in my new one, and then I had to do a new password, and it goes, great, all this, submit it, and it works fine. And then I close it, and then I reopen it again to test it, and it goes right back to my old email. And I have to go through the whole process every single time. And I'm just like frustrated. Like, how do I change that old email where it stays? And yet it will send me things and recognize me for that and show me my new email. But when it goes to sign in, it still has the old email listed on it. I don't know how to change it. And I've had that with a couple other websites where I've tried to change it to the new email, and they use your old email address to send you, to say, oh, we're just going to send you a link. Well, how can you if your email doesn't work anymore? How do you change it if you can't get there?
Yeah, like a phone. If you can't get the text message, how can you verify anything? It's like
right, because it's dead. It's one thing if you had two different accounts and you could just go switch and look at it. But when the account is totally dead, you can't do that. So I've reverted to a couple times to having to call customer service to have them.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing.
Because they can do it on their end so that I'm not just bumping my head against the wall. Yep. I mean, it's just frustrating. I just go down my password list and go, okay, what's here? Which one did I do? And I have a little book of it, my little passwords, and then I make a check mark to say, yep, I did it. Yep, I did it. And I'm like, and I'm sure there's more out there that I did for once, and that was the end of it,
Some of them just have really old systems for signing up that assume that you still have the old one when you create the new one. So
I guess that's it, because then I go to other ones and I have no problem. They give you a link and I can change it without any problem, and I have no issue. But other ones, it's just like, oh my God, it's banging your head against the wall. But
what about a doctor that's not smart enough to change your pharmacy? I called Thursday to get my asthma medicine. She's okay, I'll put that through. Monroe Avenue CVS. I'm like, no, I used that once because it was after hours. Okay, Wegmans East Avenue. Okay, I'll put it through. I call Saturday. They didn't get it. I called the 24-hour number. Monroe Avenue. I'm like, no, East Avenue Wegmans. Okay, we'll send it there. Then I'm like on the phone talking to the nurse practitioner, and she's like, Monroe Avenue. I'm like, no. For the third time, East Avenue. Like, will none of you change it in the computer? Like, I keep telling you, and you keep doing it wrong. Can't you change it in your computer? Somehow you changed East Avenue to Monroe Avenue when I had to get my eardrops, but now you can't seem to change it back. And then she sent it to the wrong one, and then I had to call Wegmans to have them get it back over there. And I'm like, and that took another 2 days. I'm like, come on. I want all my medicines at once.
Well, it all comes down to the person who handles that account. Did they stop right then and there and change it? Maybe they didn't. They said, okay, fine. And then they just never followed through on it. So the next person saw it and it was just the old address again. You know what I mean? It's like you have to say, change it now and let me watch you do it. But
like temporary versus permanent change. But it's like, you want to think your doctor's office is smart enough to do these things. Like they when COVID first hit and I banged my head and I'm like calling them for an appointment and they didn't call me. And I'm like, call them. Oh, well, we tried to call your number, but it turned out we had to use the area code. Okay. We just kept getting a busy signal. Like, and it took you you couldn't figure that out. I mean, I figure that out. If you call someone, there's that different tone, like that beep, 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 that is like that weird busy. It's not busy. It's like you dialed the wrong number. Like, I know that sound. Like, you didn't figure it out. It took you 2 days to figure it out that you couldn't call call. It's like, and you're like treating me for things. And
Well,
no one-
that's just you know, crazy. It's I don't know. My doctor's office is pretty good, I have to say. I call them and they're right on the ball with everything. I usually have no problem with them, which is good. I mean, I know I have a friend who doesn't live in this area, and she's always telling me what a hard time it is to get to see the doctor, to make appointments, to do anything, to have anybody call her. And I go, oh my God, what do you have? And it's like I never have that problem, you know? So it all depends on what doctor's office, what, you know, network they're in, you know, is it strong? Is it, you know what I mean? Is it, who's manning the phones, you know,
Well,
who's
a lot of
running
times
the office?
It is up to one person that's supposed to update things. And if they don't do it,
Yes.
then it's not there.
Yeah, they didn't follow through, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they just kept leaving it there because nobody did it right that minute to change it, so it stayed there. And you have to make a point of it, you know. It's like, no, that's not me, you know, or I don't live there anymore. I mean, I still find things where I have my old phone number in Greece. I'm like, what? I changed it. Why does it keep popping up and showing me? I mean, I had another account where I went and it kept saying, I logged in and then it says, we can't get a hold of you because your email is wrong or something. But it did have my right email address, except they had capitalized it, right? And they still had my old cell phone number on there. So I went and I changed it and I thought I had saved. The next time I logged into it, it still had the same information in it. I went and did it again. I did it 3 times before it finally said, okay, we saved it. And then sent me an email to say, yes, we did change it. So I was like, finally. It's like, I did it 3 times. I saved it each time, but it just didn't go through. So it's not always us that is doing this. It might be the computer revolution, right? The computers are getting back at us like, I'm going to thwart her.
Yeah, none of that.
Yeah, I forgot to.
Like a,
what?
do you have like a single doctor, or do you go to like a place with lots of people?
I go to a family medicine group, Penn Fair in Penfield. And he has like 4 or 5 doctors. Huh?
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Okay, talk to you later. Yeah.
I forgot to mention that one of my favorite things about streaming is that you can watch it on your computer, you can watch it on the Apple TV, watch it on your iPad, so you're not limited to the one television the DVR is connected to.
I do like that.
We always joke about, you know, Shirley's got her shows, I've got my shows, and there's some shows that we both watch. But when one of us is watching something, the other one can't. So now you can with streaming TV.
Yeah, but then you have a smaller surface to watch it on. It's
Yeah.
not to say you can't watch it unless you do have, like you have, the other TV in your office, so you can watch it on a regular TV. I don't. I just.
It's a smaller screen.
I got rid of like 2 of my boxes in the house because I have the Apple TVs. So I just go to the Spectrum app and just watch any of the stations
that
I have on the Spectrum app.
And you can do that too, Shirley. And watch your Spectrum News.
I have the app. So even if we get rid of Spectrum, can I still do that?
I think the Spectrum News app stays free.
All right, that's the only app I wanted was the news.
Because this is the app on the Apple TV, so I watch it on my TV.
Oh,
now,
I
not
have
on my
one.
phone.
I have the app where I just downloaded it onto my phone.
Yeah, but in the Apple TV, it has the Spectrum. You can download the Spectrum app.
Yeah, we did. We have that.
Yeah, and then my wife is upstairs watching her recorded movies or whatever, and I'm downstairs working on the computer with the Apple TV because I have 4 Apple TVs.
Oh, jeez.
I got one for the workout room, one for our office, bedroom, and down.
So that's so you can't miss anything, right, Ken?
Yeah, because I got rid of 2 of the boxes, so I had to replace it. I already had the the Apple TVs, but it also gave me, when I got rid of the boxes, an excuse to get a new one.
And the boxes are like $8 to $10 a month. There's no consistency. We run into that with a lot of our customers, where some people are paying $6 a month, some people are paying $10 a month for the same bloody box. And so you buy an Apple TV and you don't have to pay for that box anymore. It'll pay itself off in a year or two.
Yeah. You know, what I did is I got my own,
Yep.
not router. I got my own, what you call it, modem. So
Yeah.
I'm not using the Spectrum modem. So I got the modem. I probably saved I think it was like $10 a month. But when I, unplugged and put in the modem, they said, well, you still need the modem there for the phone.
Yep. And they stopped charging you for it.
And they stopped charging me, even though I still have the Spectrum modem.
That changed when Charter bought Time Warner. Time Warner charged you for the modem, and they charged you extra for the Wi-Fi. So that could be like $25 a month if you had both. Spectrum never charged you for the modem, just the Wi-Fi. So the need to buy your own modem kind of alleviated a little bit when Spectrum was created.
Their modems aren't very good, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another reason, to get a more reliable modem and things like that. But
Now, Steve, with Paula, when she wants to get the internet, right? She can just call them and they will just turn a switch and put her on it, right? She doesn't need a box.
Yeah, she needs a box, and she needs to have a cable run to wherever she wants her internet to sit.
Well, she's got the cable. I mean, she's got cable.
She has TV. She doesn't have internet.
Right. Okay. So they
it's a
got
different-
to bring a box and a cable.
Yeah.
All right. I was telling her no, she didn't. Now I'll have to tell her yes, she will. So, all right. So, all right. I'm going. So, guys.
me too.
the
I'm leaving.
last,
So everybody have a good night. I will see you Tuesday via Zoom.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Make sure your drink is ready.
Yeah.
I'll have more than one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Bye bye.
All right. Good night, all.
Yeah.
Right.